What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Heavy Metallurgy. It's Friday. Hope you're doing well. We're on number 246 for episodes. Thank you, one and all, for joining us. Strange and unique heavy metal albums, and we're going to be reminding Aaron for 3 hours. Strange and unique, not shitty. I think make sure you got the right memo.
There's a lot of overlap there, and some of these records are shitty, but like they're not. But I try to steer away from shitty, like deliberately. I was like, because that's going to be another video.
Right on.
Yeah.
But go ahead, Dan. What's that?
No. I had the same idea that there's a lot of funny, shitty stuff, but that could be a totally separate video. Still pick maybe a few of those, but we'll see.
Before we get into the goods tonight, surrounded by some awesome dudes once again, and as always, my intrepid co-host, Alan. How's it going?
So very cold. Yeah, no, we're okay right now, but 24 hours from now, it's going to be a different story. It looks like so. But for now, everything's good. If you don't see me next Friday night, just assume I'm frozen in a cryogenic state, and I'll see you at the end of the next ice age. But hopefully, folks in other places are going to stay warm, not have quite as many problems with ice and such. Hopefully everyone will enjoy the show before the power goes out and we're all plunged into a post-apocalyptic frozen landscape that looks like the cover of any one of various different 80s heavy metal albums.
Hey, if you freeze, we'll save you for a little while and resurrect Pauly Shore's career and maybe make a movie with thawing you out. That'd be kind of fun. Pauly Shore.
I saw that movie in the theater when it came out. There's nothing fun about it whatsoever.
Last time it snowed here, we found out that that Charleston County doesn't have any like snow plows. So when it actually happened, we needed to borrow some from Columbia and Greenville. It's not like they could just give those up because it's not like they don't have streets in those places.
Cars are running 24/7 here lately. We've been getting dumped on.
Yeah, we have like a couple of mules and like a bag of salt on each one of them. That's about it. But no, good to see everybody. Great to have both Dan and Aaron back. Dan, it's been a while, so thank you for joining us once again.
Happy to be here.
What has been happening over at the Corroseum?
At Corroseum, well, I actually finally finished this long overdue project a few months ago, which I've been working on and off for two and a half years. Which was probably the most nerdiest theme so far, and that says a lot for the Corroseum. But I made a special about Malaysia and Singapore promo, vinyl-only promo metal albums from the 80s, which there were about 250 of them. So I made an encyclopedia of that because no one has ever done it before. Took a while.
Awesome. Yeah, I bet.
It's way more than I would have guessed, too, especially on record in the 80s.
It is crazy. They released between like 85 and 91, 92. They released more hard rock and metal albums than many European countries, including, for instance, Sweden, I'd say.
Or Britain.
Yeah.
A little cynical about the second half of the 80s in the UK.
Aaron, it's good to see you as well. It's been a minute. How have you been? What's been going on? You've been pretty regular over putting up new videos, of course.
Oh, yeah. I try to do one like every week or so, something like that. But I don't know, man. Same old shit, going through. It's funny. I feel like I've been leaning on the 5 random records videos kind of hard lately, but people like those and they're fun to do because I genuinely don't know what I'm going to be talking about when I start the video. So,
yeah,
it's a little bit of a challenge.
Right on. Oh, yeah, buddy. Warhammer 666 shirts hit the press today. So if you bought one from Lee over in his credentials, they shipped out today. So he'll be getting them in a few days. So if you're a fan of Warhammer 666, he's going to have some new armor for you to try on. Definitely.
Yep, it's a very cool looking shirt. He's had it advertised online earlier today. Really nice design.
Hell yeah. But anyway, tonight, the topic, strange and unique heavy metal albums. I think it was Dan that came up with this one.
Yes, this is Dan's, and when he proposed, I'm like, this is a very Dan project. Absolutely.
One of the subjects that we discussed, and I think you mentioned that you sort of had a similar idea since before. But this is the subject of weird and original metal albums it's very close to heart. This was so fun making this pile of records, and I mean, original sort of outsider metal it sort of ties into me discovering non-metal stuff in like the 90s, because I mean, up until I was like 20, it was all metal and punk and some punk and hardcore, but eventually, sort of like in the early 90s, I kept looking for more and more sort of progressive and weird stuff, then fell out of metal, and what sort of brought me back was both great traditional obscure rare stuff and all these weird bands, which took metal in a different way. I'm of course talking about old bands, like 80s bands that stood out, because I mean, nowadays we're in sort of a postmodern era of metal, I guess. That there's so many fringe cases that it's hard to put a finger on what is still metal and what is not, if that's even important. But my picks for tonight are, I guess, mostly going to be old 80s and early 90s stuff that was at least an intent was always supposed to be metal, but either by design or mistake became very unique.
Right on.
Yep.
Well, what were you gonna say, Ellen? I'm sorry.
Oh no, I'm just agreeing. Yep.
I have a couple that aren't metal, but I think they'll be of interest to a metal audience.
Mm-hmm.
So
I got one or two that kind of skirt the corners of metal, but I think they pass. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what everybody pulls.
Yeah, same here. I've got a couple that probably might be a toe out of bounds on the sideline.
Well, we should get into it. I have a pretty good pile. I'm sure these guys do as well. Dan, since you picked the topic, why don't you get us rolling here?
Yeah, cool. The first album for tonight is going to be this really obscure, actually Yugoslavian private press, 20 copies from 83. No. We're going to start off with the classic, of course. And I think I picked an album which you will all agree is the perfect opener for this stream, whether you like it or not. This is a very, I wouldn't say very divisive album, but not everyone loves it. I do. I did not love it the first time I heard it in 1987 when it was released.
Oh,
I heard about the band because 87, I was like 15. I sort of got into like speed power thrash maybe a year or two before. Metallica, Halloween, had just discovered maybe Slayer and Creator, was looking for other bands in that style, and this band name came up. And also around the same time their new album came out, and I think it was it Vanessa Warwick on Headbangers Ball who hyped this album in one of the shows. And I'm of course talking about Into the Pandemonium with Celtic Frost. Where else can we start? My introduction to the fact that metal can be weird. And I wouldn't say this wasn't like love at first listen, but it was the first time I heard, metal that was so different from what I expected. But I don't think I even heard a note of this band. I know it was sort of a cult band already back then, but I don't think I had a note of Celtic Frost until I actually bought this album. And there are a couple of bits and things in this album which are sort of controversial. I mean, there is the techno track.
Bad techno.
Yeah. One of the Pride. For me, I never had a problem with that one. To me, it's sort of like their Dance Macabre or Tears and a Prophet's Dream and the weird stuff they did before, but sort of an 87 version. Then there's this, of course, Mexican Radio. which it actually opened with, and it sounds great in the beginning. Of course, this is a cover of a Wall of Voodoo. It's the shitty version of the chorus, which is so bad with the song, because the riffing, it starts out great, and then they made an actually really dark, cool original song, made it sort of sounding like happy glam rock in the chorus. Elsewise, this album is just full of absolutely weird pearls, and I have sort of like a weird choice for my favorite track on this album. The one that always sticks in my mind is Oriental Masquerade, the outro. Have you guys? I'm sure everyone who's into rock music or metal, whatever, probably had this sort of archetypical riffs that keeps playing in your head, at least, if not every day, then at least a couple of times every week since you were a kid, right? All the riffs in Oriental Masquerade are, I keep humming on that, at least once or thrice every week. Really, really cool song. And then, of course, concerning this album, they more or less invented this spicing up metal with like violins, female vocals, and everything I used to hate a couple of years later when people, bands and musicians tried to copycat this, because the first copycats were very obvious copycats of this album, and I never really got into the bands who experimented with this style later. But being this trailblazing album, it is so fantastic. I mean, Mesmerized, Sorrows of the Moon.
That Mesmerized is probably the crowning achievement for the weirdest on that. I mean, that was kind of the mission statement, is that song for me. It's weird. It sounds like he's singing like while breathing in. It's weird.
He totally invented a new vocal style on this album. It was so weird and disturbing. I would say Rex Irae, Requiem, is probably the most experimental one, and also one of my favorites. But second best Celtic Frost song ever, I Won't Dance. I love it. It's so good. But yeah, this is sort of an album. We can have a full stream just talking about this album. What do you think about this pick, guys?
That one, I'll jump in, because I've actually been revisiting the Frost catalog, and I haven't played that album in a very long time. So I've revisited it a few times lately. It's always been a real tough sell for me, to be honest. I feel like the band had a lot of ambition and a lot of ideas, but they didn't necessarily have the know-how or the resources to pull it all off very well. The Mexican radio cover, regardless, I don't think it was, whether I like it or not, I don't think it was the right thing to start the album with.
It's a bad choice. Yeah.
Some people have tried to make a case that, it's their grand statement of, get on board or get out right now. I don't know. I think that's a maybe, but that's maybe, that seems like a weird way for a small band from Switzerland to want to be kind of that fuck you about it on a noise label. This isn't Metallica, who can tell fans to take it or leave it or something. Once you get past that, there are good songs on the album for sure. Mesmerized is good. I like that. Inner Sanctum I like. Babylon Fell, Caress into Oblivion. There's a lot of cool tracks here. But as you mentioned, Dan, there's a lot of strange tracks, and a lot of those for me never have done much for me. And one consistent problem, that vocal styling you mentioned, I feel like that does keep some of these songs from having the power they need. Maybe he has that kind of, almost like you say, kind of like he's breathing in, and it comes across as like a very, to me, it sounds very goth inflected, and comes across as kind of whiny. And I don't think I noticed this. I'm pretty sure I read this somewhere else, but somebody compared it to Tom probably having listened to a lot of early Christian Death and Roz Williams. And as soon as I read this, I was like, oh yeah, that's where that's coming from. He sounds like he's really trying to channel his inner Roz Williams with all the kind of ohs and the sighs and the just on and on and on. And it's funny because that style became really popular with other bands later. Anathema does tons of that, in their early career. Tiamat and Therion and bands like that would use it. There's something I can't quite love about Tom Warrior doing it on this album. So I've been reevaluating it, giving it a fair shake, finding things I like. But overall, it is undoubtedly, I think you're right, the first kind of avant-garde heavy metal album. That doesn't mean it's a good heavy metal album for me, though. So I'm still kind of on the side of, I won't dance to this particular album just yet. Let me turn it over to Aaron and Marty for commentary.
Go ahead, Aaron.
I actually haven't listened to that record in ages, and this is what I've been doing instead of having that song in my head. Is every like week or so, I'm like, I need to pull it into the Pandemonium and listen to it again. Not quite every week, but I feel like it's come up a lot lately, which is probably just one of those things where I'm looking for it so I see it. But yeah, I'm kind of like jumping out of my skin here to like pull it. So I'm probably going to do that while Marty's talking. So, yeah, I don't know this one very well. I got into Celtic Frost late. I mean, I remember when they're seeing like the Hellhammer record at the store and shit like that. So I was aware of them pretty early. I didn't know about the connection with Celtic Frost until like later on when I was starting to pay more attention to them. But like that was kind of too evil and intimidating for me when I was like 13 or whatever, when the Hellhammer record came out, So yeah, so I didn't really get into them until I sort of rediscovered metal and then the early internet, where I was able to just sort of get my hands on all sorts of shit like this. And it was even the great records, the first, I don't know, 2 or 3, depending on how you count the EP, or EPs, depending on how you count them. Those were already kind of weird and didn't really grab me right away in the way that I was expecting them to. The first one in particular, I found kind of difficult to get into, but now that's the one that I reach for the most often, To Megatherion, I mean, when you want to like talk about 80s records where you can listen to it and hear the direct influence on like the black metal of the 90s and shit like that, I think To Megatherion is probably in a set of no more than like 5 records where that's like really clear, that like some of the early Bathory, and then I'm sure y'all know what I'm talking about, right? So yeah, all this circumlocution by way of saying that I don't know that album. I probably know Cold Lake better than it at this point, which is a little bit ridiculous, but I thought about
Cold Lake's not that deep a lake. It's not that hard to get familiar with that one.
God, no, yeah, but here's the thing about Celtic Frost. It kind of makes me feel a little bit better about my first pick, because I was thinking, shit, maybe this is more like the whole band and not just this record. And the topic is worded at least as this record. But Celtic Frost, I mean, none of their records really sound like the others. I mean, if you take the first 2 EPs, you know what I mean? Those are pretty similar. That's like a band. But beyond that, man, they just kind of kept changing and doing different kinds of shit. Now that I'm talking about this, I'm thinking that Monotheist should have surprised me a little less than it did when it came out, by sounding the way that one does. I actually thought about pulling that one, because that one just seems, I don't know. This might
that to me is their true statement. Pandemonium needed to happen for Monotheist to happen.
There you go.
Yeah.
Did Cold Lake need to happen?
I think it did. I think it did. Honestly,
no.
Did Vanity Nemesis also have to happen? Let's be honest, that one's kind of flat too.
Oh, it's fat. They were lost.
Yeah.
I don't know, but for me, Pandemonium, it's just they're forging new ground, which is completely admirable. I hated it when I got that record. I bought it on tape. I was so pissed. I was pissed. Like, what is going on right now in my life? But I forged on. You're young, you don't have money, so whatever you buy, you have to listen to, even if it sucks. And I started respecting more and more songs. And over the years, I started liking it a little bit more. I still think I'm with Alan here. I think there's some really good ideas, but a lot of just kind of chaos. They're just throwing shit at the wall to see whatever sticks, just to be different. And the more I think about, listen to what Aaron had to say, I think if they kept going in the direction of the first 2 albums, if they kept putting out the same records over and over and over again, let's be honest with each other here. What they were doing would get old really fast. It just would. It's really simplistic. They're relying on heaviness. They're relying on, Tom's unique vocal style. there's not a lot of riff innovation, but Pandemonium, that changed. They started to change the game a little bit. Cold Lake, love it or hate it. Sadly, I know a ton of people that love it. I don't get it. I don't think it's very good. Vanity Nemesis. I mean, every album is very different. If they were putting out 4 or 5 records in a row that sounded like, the first 2 albums, it would have been, I think people would have been over it. I think it would have been a very different thing. And like I said, it all came together. They got where they needed to go with Monotheist. That was their, I like that better than the Triptychon stuff, although I like that as well. But I just think that was the perfect art piece. They had a good mix of everything. Old Frost was in there, this new thing. You got Martin singing on some songs, that God Coming Into Human Flesh song. What an awesome song. It's so stripped down and simplistic, but the emotion in it, and it's so dark, and it's just a creepy fucking song. What a great ending to that turbulent catalog, that turbulent band, I didn't mean to cut you off, Aaron. If I did, I'm sorry.
No, it's totally. I completely agree with you. It's funny. Something makes me think of is someone actually left me a comment on an older video about Deep Purple, like because I did this Deep Purple feature, but the last one I talked about was House of Blue Light, because I never really paid any attention after that. And it's not like I'm going to go back and catch up now. This is why I'd suck on the album club, because I'm not like dedicated enough to sit there and it has to amuse me in the moment. But that's because, even though I love Deep Purple, just because they made half a dozen great records doesn't really mean that I need to keep around another dozen, mediocre to good records, maybe even, Yeah. I don't feel like it's sort of obligation. And that probably would have happened with Celtic Frost. If they made 10 records that sounded like those early ones, you're totally right. It would be a lot less sort of special. As it's like this little sort of this nugget that sits out there. It isn't quite like anything else, just on those early records. But if they'd become an institution off of just that sound,
the same motif would have happened with Obituary. It happened with Obituary. I think is a good, proof to my hypothesis, because every album sounds like an Obituary album. I care less and less and less about the first 2 albums as their career goes on. I just do. I know exactly what it is just by looking at the cover. That wow factor is so many decades gone at this point. It's just they're like the living modern model of what would have happened to Celtic Frost if they continued down the path of the first 2 albums. But,
I think you're right.
Yeah. It's a good point, although it's also funny because while Celtic Frost didn't stick to the sound of those first 2 EPs, that particular sound has almost become its own cottage industry among 21st century metal bands. You have so many retro bands that all they want to do is sound like early Frost and Hellhammer. Malleus jumps to mind, just as a quick example. And they do it good. I'm not saying they're bad, but it's just like all they do is copy that sound and people gobble that stuff up. So I don't know. Maybe Celtic Frost could have been the AC/DC of extreme metal and made 30 chapters worth of Morbid Tales, and everybody would still have lost their shit every time.
Dude, I have a lot bigger AC/DC fans than me, and I still got off the wagon after Fly on the Wall. Even to now, I mean, I actually love AC/DC, but
I used to like them, but after that dive, I think I'm good for a while.
I don't need any more. Sorry, Dan, I think I interrupted you though.
No. Concerning on all this cult band that gets copied into oblivion. You could say the same thing about Bathory and all of these cult band. They kept getting Xeroxed. As I said, I've grown to love Into the Pandemonium. Very sort of on the edge when it came out. It was the first time I bought a record which I didn't know if I loved or hate, and kept playing it, all the time. And it took me a year before I sort of got it and started buying the older stuff. It's about them trailblazing sort of a new avant-garde metal and stuff like My Dying Bride and Anathema. Never got into that stuff, but still, I'm on this side of the fence.
Maybe and that's cool. Yeah. I think if nothing else, I mean, we've made some good points. It's an album that was very important. Its influence and impact is undeniable, and it's a cool album. I'm glad a lot of people really get into it. Some people really love this as one of their favorite albums, and that's really cool. Even though it's just not an album I connect with that way, It's interesting. Yeah, there's a lot to discuss with that. You're right, Dan. We could probably talk about this one album for the good chunk of the night if we wanted to.
Oh yeah,
It was a great
So,
pick.
yeah, there's definitely things there to dissect and discuss and think about what they did. It's not a mindless effort whatsoever. So, yeah.
I got to say, you guys stymied me for a second. You kept saying the first couple EPs. I'm like, what the hell are they talking about? And I went and looked, and Morbid Tales is considered an EP. That album has always felt like an album to me. I have never in a million years ever considered that to be an EP. It always
That's the whole
feels like an album.
European.
Because of the 8-track US version on Combat, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Metal Blade press is basically a full length.
Oh,
but it has extra tracks stuck onto it.
I actually read somewhere too that like they had wanted to put it out as an album anyway, but like Noise didn't want to pay for it or whatever. So when they did it on Metal Blade and like fleshed it out with the extra couple of tracks, that was the one that they felt like was truly the first album,
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I take shit like that with a grain of salt because the fact is, like, generally speaking, what a musician says about their music after they've made it, I don't give a fuck. It's because it's not theirs anymore at that point. At that point, it's mine now too, and I can say what it's doing or what it sounds like or what I think you're communicating. And that's still what you were saying. That's not like I don't think people get this ownership over their art later on. I'm going off fucking.
I know what you mean, and no, that's an interesting point. But yeah, it is the kind of thing I could see Noise having done at that point, especially with that having been like a very young and very raw band at first. I can imagine Carl not wanting to put a lot of money behind their first release.
Yeah, it's definitely plausible. And it was one of them where I don't remember who it was that the interview was with. I don't remember where I read it, but I always thought that was kind of interesting. I'd still like to find a German press of Morbid Tales because I just have the Metal Blade one too. But I'm not going to spend $300 on it or whatever.
Not today, not in 2026. No.
A copy showed up here locally actually not long ago for like $200, and it wasn't on the shelf for an afternoon. I think he sold it the same day he put it out. It was, I think it was the Metal Blade press though, with the poster and the insert, and it was still gone. It was, I think he had it tagged at $200, and I happened to see it while he was wrapping it up, and there was already like another guy kind of circling there. I wasn't interested in buying it, but you could tell just like
I hope you have.
So people were like just zooming in. The scent was in the air.
I got my copy with the poster and the order form in it for $1.99 used. Back when people didn't give a shit about records. They got born again and sold their metal collection to the local record shop. Good for me. Sunday, Mike, thank you both for the super chats. We appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
Quite a bit. Always fun to have you all aboard.
And good pick, Dan. Honestly, out of all the stuff I picked, that never crossed my mind. I'm like, duh. As soon as you pulled it out, I'm like, how in the hell did that not make it in my fucking stack? Anyway, Aaron.
Shit, are we going to talk for this long about every record? It's going to be
this is a Celtic Frost stream, right?
Right on.
Aaron has to introduce Cold Lake.
Yeah, no, I didn't. I thought of that. I mean, that's the thing. I could have pulled like 3 of them. I could have pulled Cold Lake. I could have pulled Monotheist, and this one Dan ended up pulling, and clearly is a good case for it. So yeah, hell, you could have pulled to Megatherion, I think.
I have never seen Cold Lake in the wild ever. I bought a tape, my copy on tape at a pawn shop back in the day, and I ended up giving the tape to somebody. So yeah.
Quick interjection. My introduction to Celtic Frost used 2 cassettes in the discount bin at a record store. I'm like, okay, this is going to be the time this will be my introduction to Celtic Frost. I've never heard a note, just know the reputation, but I don't know which one to get. I know nothing about this band really. My choices were Cold Lake and Into the Pandemonium. I was kind of screwed either way. It doesn't matter what I picked. Yeah. It was going to be a weird place to start.
That was one of those things that proves there is no God.
Proof right there.
Yeah. All right.
Well, there was, but that song didn't come until Monotheist, like Marty said.
Yeah, that's right. All right. By the way, whoever left the Deep Purple comment, I hope it didn't sound like I was mad or anything, because it made me think. All right, this one almost felt like too easy. This is like my obvious one. It's funny that this is like the most, mainstream band in my stack here. But fucking Death SS was a weird band, man. And I deliberately pulled this one because who the fuck does this? I mean, it's genius. Don't get me wrong. It's Italian as fuck, but but man, yeah. So this whole band was weird. They, I mean, obviously they dressed weird. You know, like they each picked a fucking specific like creature, feature, monster, and decided to dress like it. But the songs are weird too. It's like there are these weird little things about the songwriting in that. And I don't know. There's something about these guys that always seems sort of dark and illicit in a way, like if the dark web were a record, it would sound like Death SS, you know, that's sort of thing.
I like that a lot.
And this fucking, and I don't know anything about the band, so a lot of this might go away otherwise. This is part of why I don't read about bands, because the headcanon is more fun. But like this fucking Steve Sylvester guy, I mean, first of all, what a name, right? And second of all, he does that, and like this is like his baby, you know what I mean? Like the band, the whole band has come and gone, like probably a few times, but he just keeps it going, you know. And then every so often there's something like, oh well, you know, the SS that wasn't supposed to be SS, you know, that's supposed to be like Steve Sylvester, right? Where they're like trying to like get like, yeah, fuck you, bullshit, you know. But yeah, I don't know, man. Death SS. It's the only band I know of where their first full-length record is a compilation, like a posthumous compilation.
Yeah.
Not posthumous. What's the word? Alan probably knows it. You know, after the band split up in that, they
posthumous works there. I think that's the right word.
I mean, they that is a tier band, because the original Death SS with Paul Shane, they sort of ended with the posthumous story of Death SS. But Paul Shane solo is basically the same band, just without Steve Sylvester. So if you listen to like the first Paul Shane mini, it sounds
great.
Basically like the early Death SS. It's one of my all-time favorite bands. I love them to death. The tier 2, which starts with that album, are 4 great albums. I would say the first one in Death is Steve Sylvester is the one I almost never come back to. I would say in my world it's the weakest one. I think Black Mass, Heavy Demons, and especially the 4th one, Do What the Whilst. Those it almost like they get better and better. But after Do What the Whilst from like 95, 96, they did panic and became sort of they sort of wanted to be Marilyn Manson. There's a bit of an industrial sound to it, but still a really killer and so unique band.
Yep.
Yeah, I know.
And I knew as soon as we mentioned Death SS, John would hop up to the keyboard there. He's a big Death SS fan. So John, cheers to you and Sue. Hope y'all are doing good.
I'm going to show my ass here a little bit. I have not heard a single note of Death SS. Not a single note. Never checked them out. I don't know why I never got to it.
Satanic Twisted Sister.
What'd
you say, Dan?
Satanic Twisted Sister. I mean, their stadium rock meets doom meets goth metal. Yeah, I mean, there's many of their hits where there's total stadium metal, but in a dark Italian way.
Yeah,
that's why I love them so much.
Yeah, they were never an easy band to find stuff by in the U.S. I mean, these days, of course, you can find stuff, but yeah, it was a band that was really stateside was really buried in mystery for well into the 90s, maybe even the 2000s.
I actually have a copy of the Cursed Singles, you know, the one that came in that felt package, and that came from the dude from a Buried by Time and Dust.
Oh, okay. Yep, I got a copy of that from Dennis at Sentinel Steel.
Right on.
Thanks, old head, for the super chat. Appreciate you.
Yeah, appreciate it. Glad to see you in the chat. Hope you and the family are doing good.
And Lee, everybody, thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, that fucker Russ from Buried by Time and Dust. Yeah, he still had the amoeba bag that he got it in, and it was like $15. It's like,
that's
like,
cool.
You son of a bitch.
All right.
Yeah, no, that's a good pick, Aaron. Death SS, very, very strange and very unique band. They kind of touch all the bases here.
Also, I have Black Mass, but I got to search out those next two because with the whole Marilyn Manson turn later on, I've been a little bit also just generally being prejudiced against later records by a band. Those I sort of never really dug deep. Also because I have to get them from overseas, but I'm gonna have to do it now. Check them out. I think Black Mass is better than Death of Steve Sylvester, so I got to agree with you right there.
Yeah, I haven't played those in a while. I remember Heavy Demons being very good, so that'd be a good one, I think, to check out next if you're looking for one.
Yeah.
All right, Satanic Twisted Sister. I'll have to get around to it finally. I've
Yeah.
put it off long enough.
It's like the really good Twisted Sister though, like just like the best songs on Under the Blade. You know, it's not like, you know, we're not going to take it, Twisted Sister. It's not like it really isn't. You know, I mean, yeah. Well, you'll see.
All right, I'm going to jump to a very different place in the heavy metal universe for my first one here. This is something I've always loved, and I don't necessarily think of it as being such a strange, weird album, but at the same time, I can't think of anything that really comes that close to what it sounds like, including the rest of the band's catalog. They never did another album like this. And then I was reading a review of them recently, and that person, it was Jack, Half a Prayer, who he was in the chat a lot of times. You know, was commenting on this album. And it was he had that same comment. He's just like, I've been looking for some other album to sound like this my whole life, and I never have found one. I'm like, oh yeah, that is same here. Now that I think of it, it is Sentenced, North from Here.
Great
so
album.
Sophomore album from Finnish band. Obviously became a huge thing in kind of the goth rock / metal territory later in the 90s. That style's just not for me. That part of Sentenced's career I checked out pretty quickly.
It's goth chick metal. It's goth chick metal.
It very much
totally.
With not joking, the only people I've ever interacted with in person who really tried to sell me on any of those albums were definitely goth chicks.
Yeah.
But
they just want to fix him. Oh, he's so sad. I just want to make him better. I know I can make him happy.
I can fix him.
I can fix him.
But yeah, early in their career, of course, Sentence sounded very different, but they evolved rapidly from album to album to album. Debut album, really great Finnish death metal. It's got that gloomy personality that you associate with all the strong Finnish stuff. But then on the sophomore album, that sound is gone. And it's replaced with this really biting, fast, vicious, sharp, technical, angry style of death metal. It's a real whirlwind of an album. Everything is put together really tight. I mean, they're really showing off some technical chops here without it feeling overly techy. It doesn't feel wanky, kind of show-off techy. It's just like, this thing is Loctite, and everything just sounds like they're pissing razors, from the guitars to the vocals. Even the picture, I always liked the band picture. They just look like they're pissed off at everything to some extent.
Not enough goth chicks. The type of music they were playing wasn't right.
Yeah, they weren't getting laid enough, so they had to slow down, simplify the songs, put in the chorus, verse, structure a little bit, and then they were happy for reasons. But I'm happy with North from Here. This album has always impressed me. This was a blind special order for me because I kept hearing about the album being great. Nobody carried it locally, so I got the local record store to special order a copy. It was an easy find for them. Got it pretty quick, and it wasn't expensive. They didn't have to import it, thankfully. But yeah, it's one I can still come back to these days, and it's just like it'll still leave me a bit stunned, just at how sharp they sound, how on point they are. And then when you put it in the context of their other early albums, it's just like they did it this one time, and even then on the next album, Amok. I like Amok a ton, but it's got a very different sound to it. There's more sort of death and roll and more of an angry roar. Little hints of goth stuff here and there, not too much. It's a one-off strange album in their catalog, and I've never really come across another band that tried to do their own North from Here too. Maybe someone in the chat knows of something that's really close to North from Here in sonic territory. I couldn't think of anything. Jack Half a Prayer couldn't think of anything in his review of it. If Jack hasn't come across one, I feel pretty confident that, it stands kind of unique. I'll leave it at that.
Sorry. Okay. You know what? This is a band from Paris, France that I've been the only person I've seen on here talking about it. I don't know, but this is a weird band, and I always thought they were weird, but endearing. Trumpet and Pal. This is I want to say this is their debut. I don't remember. This might be their second. This is I was trying to figure out how, because a lot of people are throwing around industrial when describing this. It's metal is the predominant influence here. This might be a drum machine. There's 5 guys listed in the band shot, but if it's a drummer, he's just playing a very simplistic drum beat, and it's a very sharp production. But I think it's probably a drum machine. But other than that, they compare it to Godflesh and the Young Gods mixed with metal, extreme metal. Not a lot of blast beats on here. I just remember I bought this. I picked it up at Camelot Music. It was on RC Records. And, you know, back in the day, your internet was, I'm going to buy whatever's on the record label I like. Noise was a perfect example. Anything that came out on Noise, it showed up at the store. I had to go home with it. RC was another one of those. And I got I put it in the tape deck when I got in the vehicle. I'm scratching my head. What the hell is this? Really strange, broken English, kind of talk singing over the songs. Got songs like Soft Mouth Vagina, In, Out, Too Many Humans, The Black Box. I mean, there's some weird shit going on here. Obviously, English isn't their first language, and it actually kind of adds to the charm here. It isn't in a funny, silly way. It's just kind of a really odd. It just sounds very odd the way it's all presented. There's kind of a droning, mechanized lurch to this music, but it doesn't go full industrial. I don't know. I guess I could see in that light, it is kind of like, you know, middle era Godflesh, where they maintain that plodding drum machine thing, but they never really went full electronic other than on the album Slave State. But I always liked this band up to a certain extent. I've got 3 or 4 of their records. After that, I've kind of lost touch with them. But yeah, they're very strange. I think they're still around playing festivals, and I watched a few things online where they got the dancing girls out front and a whole bunch of people that seem to know about them. So this is one of these bands I don't think translated well to America, but very strange band. Yeah, check them out if you've never heard of Trumpet and Pal. Good stuff. I think it's good stuff. It's definitely weird. It's kind of weird that it made on RC Records. Very strange.
Yeah, I don't know that one at all. Interesting.
Oh, I bought it back in the day. I used to have that album around the time. It was like early 90s, right?
Yep.
1991 or something like that.
You know what? I can tell you. It's probably right on the back here. 1989.
89. Oh, yeah.
Yep.
I had my session with like industrial metal, and that was one of them. I have this weird memory of maybe even seeing them live in the 90s, but I might have confused them with Young Gods.
Could be.
Yeah. I remember it being cool. I've only had that one. I never heard the later ones, but
yeah, Excess and Overdrive has got an elephant on it, and there's another one called Aggravation or Aggression. I can't remember. It's like an X-ray. It's really good. I don't know. I like them. They're weird.
Yeah. Cool.
I don't listen to them a lot, but I do dig it. All right, Dan.
It's me. Yeah. I think right before we started presenting albums, there were some spoilers. Someone actually spoiled Into the Pandemonium, and very surprisingly, someone actually spoiled this album as well. So I'm going to Europe, and one of my favorite themes, Eastern Europe, and one of my favorite metal countries of all time, Czechoslovakia. And we have to talk about Drakar and their amazing Let Draka. Less much so about the English version. I'm going to stay with the Czech edition of this band. I'm going to remove the plastic because the sleeve is so bloody nice.
Mm-hmm.
And especially the backside.
Totally.
Yeah. Drakar from Czechoslovakia. This is the first album. They had a second one on tape only. This is from 1990. it sounds very, very East European, but also very original. Musically, I'll compare them to. There's certainly bits of Celtic Frost in this, or maybe even more their countryman Turr. There's a little bit of Voivod. Also, bits of UK Hell and Sabbath, and amazing guitar harmonies, like really sort of like epic metal bits and pieces. And it is a completely schizophrenic album. It's not the kind of schizophrenic album where the songs seem sort of jumbled about. It has a very consistent, unique sound to it. It flows really well, but there is no one band that you could ever compare Drakar to. It's sort of this droning, like goth but still growly metal type of vocals. Some songs are sort of speed, like hectic thrash almost. Some songs are slow and drony, and just out of the blue you can have these fantastic guitar harmonies like going into it, and it's so hard to describe. I mean, just when I picked it up, I realized that, damn, I don't have a good rant about explaining what bloody Drakar from Czechoslovakia sound like. It is obscure. It's a pretty praised album in the underground. And as I said, there is also, I think they came out simultaneously, more or less. There is an English vocals version of it. I would not recommend this version because not only did they translate the lyrics bad, I think in some songs they didn't even bother translating the lyrics, but they wrote new ones, which sound really corny. So this is for completists only. It would give the entirely wrong impression of this album. Do get the Czech one, really. And I think I Hate Records made a CD reissue of this album in, was it like 10 years ago or something, which actually led them to play, I think, probably the final gig ever of this band on a Swedish festival, Muscle Rock. Yeah, and the original guy who started this band, I think he passed away like the year after. So we actually got to see this band live in Sweden, like 1 year before it was too late. It was so amazing. It's a very hard album to describe, but if you truly like epic, dark, mysterious, strange metal, which isn't disturbingly weird but still very unique, you have to check out Let Draka with Drakar. Mystic metal indeed. What do you think, guys?
Never heard it. Looks
It's
cool, though.
fucking fantastic, dude. That record is so good.
Yeah.
Holy shit. That's another one that I considered, actually.
Yep. I have not heard it in ages. So I remember I've heard it. I remember thinking, yeah, this is really kind of weird and different, but I've never circled back to it because I've never tracked down a copy of it.
Yeah, I don't think I could do a better job describing that either. I mean, the main thing that strikes me with them is that there's something so sort of underground and sort of foreign about it. You know what I mean?
It's very foreign.
Yeah. Like that feels like a shitty word to use for it, but I don't have a better one. It just sounds like strange. I mean, I'm just copying the fact that I'm not really close
that
to
word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right on.
Here, Ryan's going to take a stab at another description for it.
Yeah. Great description.
Cheers, Ryan.
All right. Aaron, you're back.
Shit. All right. All right, we're going to do this one. Fucking MC Blade. Do you all know this one?
Yep. It's been a long time, but yep.
This is the sort of thing that I was sort of going for with the weird stuff. So this one is weird and unique because this, I swear, is a closeted Jesus metal band. Because it sounds like Jesus metal. Like it's really good. It's not like incredible, but it's not as good as it's not like Messiah, right? But it's a good record. It's a fun one, you know. But there's just there's something in the performance where you just go, man, this sounds like fucking Jesus metal. And I spend so much time like looking at this cover and like rereading it. And I'm usually pretty good at picking up on those little sort of subtle, like, you know, Jesus metal things in the credits or whatever, or even like vaguely in the lyrics, but I'm just not seeing it, man. So yeah, so this is the Jesus metal record that isn't about Jesus.
Well, Step Into the Light is kind of a metaphor, isn't it? I mean, I don't know.
I don't know, man. I mean, the lyrics are on the back here, so I'm sort of cheating by looking at that again. But I mean, yes, right? I mean, totally. But you know, usually there'll be something specific in there, like something about their church or something. So yeah, if these guys, I don't know, maybe they grew up in a plastic bubble where there was only like Striper and Bloodgood and Petra, and I don't know, just fucking Jesus bands to the point where they didn't know that there was a different kind of music that didn't sound like that. You know. Does anyone else know this one? Does anyone have anything to say about it? You know it.
Yeah, I know. I don't remember what it sounds like. Isn't it mostly famous for is it the title track, which is a real gem, and the rest is sort of ho hum? That's the shorthand review. I don't remember what it sounds like. I remember like, yeah, that title track is great, and then the rest is so. I don't remember the actual sound of it, so I don't have anything intelligent.
Is this one that had a different pressing at some point too, Aaron? Or am I mixing it up with something else? I feel
Not that I know of.
I can't imagine. No, that is not a two pressing record.
I wouldn't think so. I thought it had like a different cover, but I must be thinking of something else.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay.
All right, Alan, you are back, sir.
All right. Well, I called dibs on this one in the email chain early, so I definitely got to include it. We've already mentioned Death SS really establishing a weird kind of Italian specific sound. There was a set of Italian bands that kind of picked up the torch from Death SS and Paul Chain and carried it in their own directions. And one of those is Black Hole with their Land of Mystery album, which you look at this cover and you know you're in for some weird shit. Very cool kind of DIY thing. The more you look at the cover, I mean, at first glance, it's like, yeah, skulls, crosses, coffins, temples, and stuff. It's like, okay, yeah, it's just, an amateurish doom metal cover. And the more you look at it, the more you start wondering, it's like, this looks kind of trippy at the same time. And it actually kind of is. It reveals something that's going to happen in the music, that they have these kind of very weird, trancey, psychedelic passages mixed into this underground, deranged, Italian-flavored doom metal, which makes for a really unique combination. It's not something that you really pick up with Death SS or The Black or other projects that I'm familiar with from that style. The band picture on the back is worth taking a gander at too. Here you go. 3 guys fresh from either a Ren Fair or a power metal concert with those costumes, all standing around
a poop bucket
child's coffin.
Dude, I just figured something out.
What's
that's
that,
actually that's a butt plug.
Not going there. But yeah, Land of Mystery, the band's only album at the time. They had some demos and stuff, and it was one of those just really obscure lost recordings for a long time. It's eventually over the years developed a following. The band's done some newer material. There's an anthology collection you can get if you don't want to track down. The album's been reissued at this point, so it's it is quite obtainable now if you like that really strange flavor of Italian doom. So again, start with SS, but take it into kind of trippier territory. It makes for a really interesting blend, in my opinion. So what do y'all think? I know this is one Dan's got a super cool rare variant of. He beat me on eBay. I was the second place bidder, but Dan
no
was
honor
the better,
among friends.
Dan was the better. No, Dan was the better man that day. It's all fair in love, war, and auctions.
Dude, there's probably someone watching this right now who's like, I'm so fucking sick of those three guys hyping that fucking Black Hole record all the time. Every time we're on, it's like we're all like showing it and like talking about how great it is and hyping the fuck out of it, and then they go looking for it and like, God damn it, I can't find it, you know?
Yeah, and it's funny. There was
it's not hard to find. I mean, there's so many pressings of it now. That is not a hard to find record in a new pressing format. That's one of the albums I'm proud to hype. I mean, it's been very cultified nowadays. So there's few, I think, like younger people into cult 80s metal who don't know about this album now. It is and it's well deserved. I think this album and the Beyond the Gravestone, like 80-90 minute demo, which was released on a double album by High Roller, those two are equally great. Sometimes I like Beyond the Gravestone more, sometimes the album. The two later albums are way too weird for this stream. Especially the one, I mean, that is off the deep end. They have their place in history, but I don't even want to talk about them. They're way off the deep end. They're not fit for this stream at all. But I mean, Black Hole, my favorite doom metal album. Fantastic, so unique.
All right, I guess I'm up.
Yep, you are up.
You know, this is a band. A friend of mine's in this band. He's comes on the channel whenever he can. Him and I have done a project in the past, and you know, this is a band that is very polarizing. People either love it or they hate it. And I'm talking about Realm Builder. It's funny Dan mentioned I Hate Records because all these are on I Hate. But started off with Some of the Stone Throwers. Second album was Fortifications of the Pale Architect, and their latest, I know they have another album in the can, but I don't know when it's coming out. Blue Flame Cavalry, a really hard band to describe, and it is basically the easiest category for me to throw this into would be epic metal. And for a prime example of that influence, listen to Advance of the War Giants. It's not a lot of open chord riffs. It's a lot of note-based riffs. They're very obtuse and odd. But as they've gone on, they've gotten much better at building and layering in things like, more choir arrangements, not choir, but like orchestration in with some of the songs to really sell this hugeness. They really lean into the epic vibe. Craig's vocals are tough for some people. He's gotten way better over the years. All right, Dan's got him too. Right on. What do you think of him, Dan?
I hated them to bits the first time I heard the first album.
They improved a lot since the first album.
Oh yeah,
a lot.
Were you finished, by the way?
Oh, I've got other things to say, but go ahead. It's good to bring into the conversation.
Peter, I hate, tried to sell me the first one when it came out. And I think my friend bought it later the same day. We were listening to the first one, and I was just laughing. This must be one of Peter's friends who owed him a favor or something and couldn't get into it. And then weirdly enough, I heard the last one a couple of years ago and was blown away. And then sort of backtracked, and today I love all three albums. It is one of the greatest. What is it like? It's from the noughts or the tens, right? It's they're getting old, right? It's from the tens.
They got to be. They're getting old.
Most of them, yeah.
There's no date
from this era of like new bands that they are absolutely fantastic. I love them.
Yep.
I mean, they're not for everyone, but yeah, truly unique. And you totally caught me. That would have been an obvious pick for me tonight. Totally forgot about them. But great pick.
Right on.
Such a cool band.
Yeah, and it goes further into like the epic metal thing. For me, what really opened this band up for me was the last song on their second album. The stars disappeared from the sky when we uncovered the bones of the first gods. It is just such an emotive, powerful. It kind of just pulls you in with this vibe. It's very cinematic. They just have a really great way of doing that. Even though things might be a little weird or off-putting for some people, give it some time. Keep listening to it. There's a lot going on with this music, and I've always enjoyed Zahler's riff writing. And to predate Realm Builder, the two guys were also in the band Wombat. So we've got Ready for Combat and two different versions of Basement Metal. And again, this
Never
is
heard about those.
Yeah, this basically Realm Builder right there.
Yeah.
That's Craig Zahler and Jeff Harriet. Jeff does most of a lot of the singing on here. Craig offers some of the harsher vocals, and then he does do some singing as well. This is, again, very riff oriented, weird, super weird metal. It's super weird metal. There's moments of Thin Lizzy type riffs, not the layered soloing, but just kind of that vibe. But then it just gets really strange, a little more upbeat than Realm Builder, I think. Hard to classify. It's really hard to classify stuff. And you want to talk about weird metal? This is definitely, and they did one more thing as well after this, which I can't find. Eldritch Environs, it's called. I don't know what happened to my copy of it, but yep, that's Craig Zahler.
Final note on Realm Builder. Would you agree that this would be the beginner pick, the last one?
I think that is probably the one that is they've progressed. They get a little tighter and a little better with every album. I think that is the one that would bother people the less. Yeah. But once again, you hear the riffs are so interesting and so good. I'm not saying that because they're bad. I'm saying because they're atypical riffs. It's very cool to, I don't know. You can't put your finger on it, but epic metal is where I'm gonna throw down as
Epic and Doom.
Epic and Doom. 100%.
An outsider.
Yep. All right, you're back, Dan.
Oh, wow. Okay, third pick. First, I picked the classic. Then I picked the typical Dan Cult East Euro album. I'm going to pick a UK thrash album. And not one that I think anyone would have guessed. Or this is the band. This is an album which I never hear anyone ever talked about. I did review it on the Corroseum a couple of years ago. It's not a rare album, but it is a very original one. And it's a band called Adam God. This is actually their second album. They made an album predating this, which was sort of more like a hard rock metal meets UK alterno punk sort of. I don't know if they wanted to be Danzig or whatever, but I think it is 1991 they released their second one, Adam God, History Rewritten.
Cool cover.
So on the surface, this would appear to be the typical early 90s progressive thrash album, except it isn't very typical of progressive thrash. It's certainly progressive and it's certainly thrash, but this is an entirely different vibe from all the Watchtowers and Siegs Evens and Death Rows and whatever. This sounds so British, and you can tell that this comes from a band that really didn't grow up with traditional metal and thrash, but sort of heard about it, wanted to emulate it, and do, hey guys, you heard like thrash metal? We could like combine this with all our prog influences, and then we could sort of like make, prog thrash. So they sort of reinvented prog thrash and did not sound like any other band at the time in that genre, of which there were quite a few in the early 90s, as you know. And they had sort of like this same vibe as bands like, Sabbath, Hell, Deep Switch and bands like that, typically sort of weird UK bands. And I think one of the reasons I personally got into this album was because you can tell that there actually might be sort of a Cardiacs influence on a few songs. Cardiacs being the best band, non-metal band ever. But I mean, all 7 songs on this album, or 8 songs on the CD. Actually, the CD bonus track is really great as well. Death Will Come from China. Sorry, that's the last song on the album. But anyway, it is very hard to describe because there's very few other albums there are a couple of other albums which are similar to this, which I'm going to talk about later. But if you like prog thrash, which does not sound pretentious at all, and more sort of vibing the concept of progressive thrash and speed metal, it is no, I don't know how else to describe it. Really cool songs, catchy, strange. Not all the songs are sort of start-stop weird prog thrash, but every song has its own sound, and at the same time does not sound like any other late 80s, early 90s metal album. And no one is talking about or hyping this album as far as I know.
I've never seen it.
So I'm
cool
curious about any of you guys have heard it, and what do you think about it?
Yeah, I don't know that one at all. It sounds really interesting.
Yeah, you can check out the review at the Corroseum. I think I summed it up pretty well there.
Yeah, I did, and I bought it.
Okay, he said disappointingly.
No, it's a really good record. Well, I don't feel like I completely get it yet. So like I don't feel like I can even say all that much about it, but I can definitely affirm that it is an unusual record. It's a really weird one. It's kind of a challenging one. Yeah. Like I don't feel like it's its glory has all revealed itself to me just yet. I think there's still some unveiling that has to happen.
Yeah, quick hot tip. If you're gonna just check out one song from this album, there is a really short one called "The Virgin Blood." It's like less than 3 minutes. Check out Adam God Virgin Blood on YouTube if you want to just get the vibe of it.
I'll just grab the fucking record. I think I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, this is going to be a whole night of me not hearing much. I'm going to be the guy showing the commons, I think, which is fine. That's fine.
Dude, I didn't know the first one you showed at all.
I sneak one in there once in a while.
Yeah, I'll put that in the stack to listen to, too.
We're building Aaron's playlist.
His playlist as we go. And you're back, Aaron.
And getting up off camera is like my signature move. All right. So I have some kind of obvious ones here. Let's do this one. Oh fuck, actually no.
Someone has to do the obvious ones.
All right, here's one of the obvious ones. Fucking Joker. That's how you spell Joker in Russian. This
I told Alan, I said Aaron's gonna show all this weird Russian shit that 5 people have heard of.
Dude, I was like trying to bring it down a peg from the Russians. I could have done just Russian bands. Like generally speaking, if you're watching this and you're like, I really like metal, but I wish there was more like weird shit out there. More just like sort of fucking bizarre batshit shit. Let me tell you. Fucking 2 words, Russia and Italy. Okay, but Russia, fucking yeah, we totally could have done the whole thing and said Russia. So this is like a fucking it's kind of like a glam record.
Looks like a thrash record.
Well, look at her. Maybe it looks a little more like glam now.
Yeah.
Huh?
Thongs on a motorcycle are probably ill-advised.
I mean, this is like I had to listen to this like 2 or 3 times before I realized it was trying to be glam metal. Like that's kind of my best review of this one. That if I were going to just sum it up in one sentence. So, does anyone else know this? You have this one,
of course.
Dan?
Nope.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they had a different name before. That's sort of like the second album by the band, and I think they had a different name before it. And there's somewhere here behind me, because I'm a 110 completist Russian collector. I haven't listened to it in ages, but I remember it as one of these bands who was sort of like 1 foot in the glam, 1 foot in the trash, sort of, but in a very warped Russian way.
Yeah, that's pretty apt.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Now I'm curious to put it on again, because it's been ages. But you were really right there about, good countries to pick if you want to experience weird metal. It's like Russia, Italy, and Japan, of course.
Yeah, Japan. But something, man, I'm still not crazy about Japanese metal, so I can't.
No, me neither. But that's where you find some weird shit as well.
Fair enough.
All right, Alan.
Well then, speaking of weird Japanese metal, that's a great segue. Folks mentioned this band in the chat a bit earlier, and yeah, it was a given that they should be mentioned here. Psy from Japan, kind of the definition of strange metal, and one of those bands that sometimes really start pushing outside the boundaries of metal. Mirai has, obviously, classically trained kind of musician, and some of his compositions will push way out there into soundtrack, cinematic kind of music. He's influenced by a lot of more like modern classical composers. And he's not afraid to throw all that in a blender with some good old-fashioned Venom black metal and see where the muse takes him. Venom started out, Psy started out, much more in a straightforward black metal vein on their debut. They were a Death-like Silence band back, in the Euronymous days. But they graduated from that really quickly. Folks were talking about Infidel Art getting reissued earlier. And yeah, even by that album, they're starting to try different things. But I feel it was, this one, the band's third full-length, Hail Harder Hail, that really defined what they were going to be. You still have a lot of that Venom-inspired kind of early black metal sound on here, especially the title track is full of that. It's great. But after that, they wander all over the place, but it's not random. I mean, there's a method to the madness. I mean, there's at one point on here where the music basically just kind of stops with some horns, and then you hear like a dog whimpering and barking. It sounds like it's scratching at a screen door or something. I mean, they're incorporating a lot of strange stuff, and it is a very densely packed album too. This is not the kind of album you listen to 2 or 3 times and really know it or understand it. It takes a long time. But I've always liked what the band's done. They tend to change their sound very regularly. Rarely do albums sound alike. So you never quite know what you're going to get. I pulled one other one. Folks had mentioned Imaginary Sonoscapes too. One of their better known albums. They got a little more of a hype around this time. And again, this one has like a lot of kind of, weird psychedelic electronic sounds incorporated, very lush types of sonic landscapes being derived. And it's really, really cool and greatly done. So you have to have a pretty high tolerance for the weird experimental stuff to keep up with Psy. And it's kind of strange because I'm not always on board with that stuff. Like we talked about with Into the Pandemonium earlier. There's a lot of strange experimental stuff on there, and I can't quite wrap my brain around it. But for whatever reason, Psy is a band that I really enjoy seeing what kind of experiments they come up with. It's one of the few bands I've been completist about in terms of picking up all their albums. It's not something I do for a lot of bands that have big catalogs like theirs. So yeah, weird Japanese metal to the extreme with Psy for sure.
All right.
I'm so glad that someone picked Psy, because it would have been like a criminal fault for Psy not being mentioned in this stream.
Yep.
It
was obvious, but it had to be there.
Yeah. That is one of the greatest in the realm of really original and weird metal. What can I say? I'm beating myself that it's so bloody hard to find the original vinyls. So I'm still sitting here listening to like digital copies on my phone to this day. But
Dan, do you buy CDs or are you pretty much a vinyl purist?
I don't buy CDs. If it's digital, I might as well listen to it on YouTube Music or on MP3. Oh.
That's right.
Maybe in very rare instances where bands I collect where it's only available on CD, but no. Otherwise,
Gotcha.
not.
Yep. Yeah. Some of the early, I know obviously the originals are much kind of cooler to have. Folks were mentioning in the chat earlier, but Peaceville has started reissuing some of those older Psy titles on vinyl. So there is at least a vinyl pressing out there that's obtainable at the moment without spending years and a fortune looking for them.
There's another band which was one of my introductions to weird metal, even back since the Wild Rags Records edition of technically not the first demo, but the second demo, the one with the blue and red cover. That was my introduction to Psy back in like 1991, and I loved it because it was weird Japanese metal with a piano. So since back then, I've loved that band.
Yeah, and let's see, Giant Proof. I don't know that band. Interesting. Oh, and I did meant to say hi to Thomas, who's someone who just stumbled into the stream for the first time. So, Thomas, hope you enjoy it. Welcome aboard. But do you know this band, Dan?
Ninginisu, yeah. Aren't they like YouTube famous for one of their? The first CD is from like 1991, I think. Is Japanese doom metal, but they became sort of internet famous or YouTube famous because one of the rock videos started turning up on everyone's logarithm for some reason a couple of years ago. So check if you search on Ningen Isu on YouTube, if you have not already seen it, you will see an amazing heavy hard rock doom metal video from really old Japanese guys doing weird Japanese doom.
Yeah, cool.
All right. Well, speaking of weird doom, I really shouldn't like this band, and I don't know why they clicked with me, but they sure did. And I'm talking about Finland's Reverend Bizarre. Harbinger of Metal. This is the one with the Burzum Dunkelheit cover. Rick sent me I had the CD of it, but Rick sent me a copy of the vinyl, Slave of Satan single, and the Rectory, Return to the Rectory. I got some of the other stuff on CD as well, but this is one of those bands that they play a style of kind of traditional doom, a little heavier handed at times, but with that Finnish weirdness thrown into the mix, especially lyrically. There's some weird, strange humor that maybe only Finnish people get. I don't know. But the vocals are very strange as well. Pitch singing. The songs really go on. There's a droning. There's a labor to getting through some of these songs, but there's always a charm there that keeps me interested throughout the whole journey. I don't know what it is, why other bands fail to hold my attention like these guys do, but they do. They do it. They've always done it. And I can't remember what's the other offshoot band from this band. Lord Vicar, is that one of the bands that I couldn't get into it as much? I don't know if it's just missing the vocalist. I don't know, but they're definitely a strange band, but they do the doom thing very well. And I think it's interesting the fact that they do put their own unique twist on it, whether it's the sardonic humor, just the Finnish weirdness in it. It just makes it a little bit special than your typical bell-bottom doom connoisseur. I don't know. Reverend Bizarre, I don't know. I know Alan's not a huge fan of this. What Dan and Aaron, what do you guys think?
I really don't know him at all.
Really?
Kind of lame, but yeah. I've
To be honest,
whatever bit. Go ahead.
I know them by reputation, probably having seen them once or twice live. And it's one of those bands, but I love that it's sort of crude. It's not epic doom.
It's not. Yeah.
And I like how rough around the edges they are. I have not gone into buying their albums. It's one of those albums. It's one of those bands where a lot of friends are diehard fans, and you eventually get to hear them every once in a while. And typically a band I respect and should probably get around to buying their complete bloody discography, but no, not yet.
All right, Dan.
Oh God, we're moving fast. Okay, we haven't gone to South America, yes, yet. No? Nope. I was sort of like, I mean, there's a lot of weirdness coming from South America as well, and I couldn't make up my mind about which of these two albums to talk about because they are sort of weirdly similar. I had to think, should I talk about Graf Spee? Oh no, that's Graf Spee. Graf Spee from Uruguay, Reencarnacion, or the band Reencarnacion with the album Reencarnacion from Colombia. Both from, I think, 1989, doing the genre that has been called ultra metal, which is really extreme South American, or specifically ultra metal. You know what? I'm going to talk about Reencarnacion, even if, I mean, this is the biggest flex, but this is the maybe 10% more weird one. Reencarnacion was one of the most classic Colombian Medellin ultra metal, death black metal bands from the late 80s from Medellin in Colombia. During our evil metal stream, I talked about Parabellum, which are technically even weirder, but I don't want to repeat myself, so it's time to talk about Reencarnacion. They made actually a couple of albums, but in 1988 or 89, their full-length debut, privately pressed. This is death metal from Medellin, 1989, and it is very lo-fi. It is very untight, but you can hear influences from weird Celtic Frost, from Possessed, from Morbid Demo era, Morbid Angel, but thrown in like a tumbler. It's very jumbled, sort of hard to listen to because of the poor mix and poor musicianship and whatever, but it's so uniquely weird. And I wonder if it's there is actually there is quite a large insert in this one with a picture of the guy Piolín playing live in probably in 1988 somewhere in Medellin, and it's been reissued by a couple of labels. I think probably, Nuclear War Now probably did a version of this one.
That's what I had.
Yeah. But it's screaming, growling, extremely evil South American chaos. For those unfamiliar with the Colombian scene, this does not sound much like the Brazilian bands. Like this does not sound like Sarcophago or early Sepultura or all those Brazilian Black Death. This is way more warped. I would say almost like progressive in a weird way, because it's sort of like start stop and weird time changes. And there's I think there's a couple of songs on here where there's like a violin where you can tell that, okay, so they've sort of heard Into the Pandemonium before recording this, but it's not. It's more early Celtic Frost and Hellhammer than Into the Pandemonium, but that was certainly part of it, which explained how this record turned out in the end. After this, they made a 7-inch single in 1991, which is maybe even better and weirder. And after that, a couple of CD-only releases, which were sort of like no distorted guitars, weird avant-garde music. But it is definitely not for everyone. is it as great and as personal a fave that like Parabellum? I think not, but it's maybe in second place. And everything I've ranted about so far could also be said about Graf Spee from Uruguay. So 1 rant, 2 albums. So what do you think about obscure extreme metal from South America?
I'm not real well versed in it, but the stuff I've heard, I really like. The Graf Spee album is really, really cool.
All right.
Yeah, I love Reincarnacion. Reincarnacion are probably my favorite of that whole lot. I'd probably, like, for me, I'd put them above Parabellum even.
Wow. Yeah. You have this edition?
No, dude, I don't have any originals of that shit. Nothing. Actually, that's not true. I have, I just looked into one. I just found it here. God, I feel like a chump because I can't remember what it was. Never mind. I'm having to fucking see them. I have one original, though. It's by one of the major bands, but it's not like the album that people freak out about. No, forget it. This is no fun. Anyway, I don't know this whole South American scene all that well either. And I like some of it more than others, but it's all interesting.
Yeah.
And yeah, fucking it's good shit.
Very crude, though, mostly.
Yeah. The Colombian stuff is definitely sort of the roughest too. All right, ready for this?
Yes, sir.
Unique records, right? How about some Holy Gospel hymns? Number 2. Now,
Pope John Paul looking fucking tough, like he's ready to throw down for the Lord.
I'll take this other so you can see it, because this fucking thing is fantastic. Okay, if you look really close, you can see how like the things are like cut out and pasted. And like
punk rock.
Like right there, that handle. It's just like it's like an insane person made this. But what makes it unique there, okay? You've already said it, but you probably didn't notice. And this is fucking Catholic. It's the Protestants who are always doing this kind of shit. You know what I mean? So it's funny to see a Catholic doing it. So this record is basically this guy who sounds like he's like 80 or something like that. And he has this funny voice that's sort of like this. And he like chants like psalms and shit like that. And there's someone like playing a harp behind him, doing these like cute little arpeggios. Totally cliche, but it's perfect for the thing. I've never heard anything quite like Holy Gospel Hymns 2.
Well, what about Holy Gospel Hymns 1? I mean, I'm sure there was some semblance between the two.
I actually, you know, what's funny? I got a copy of Holy Gospel Hymns 1 because it's not like I spent all my time thinking about this, right? But like it occurred, I was like, oh, I should go looking for that. I'll bet now if there's internet, I could find that. And I was sent away for a copy, and the thing was, okay, my record player could handle a warped record. Okay, this was like, it was fucked. So I actually have it sitting in the other room, but I still haven't heard it because that one's just unplayable. Anyway, this is really a weird fucking record, and I mean I've had this record for probably 25 years now, and it's filed in my punk section. Okay,
because cut and paste.
Seriously, like you know, the thrift stores are full of bullshit that looks a lot like this in the U.S. I don't know if you get that as much in Sweden, but especially
I collected Swedish Christian records in the 90s. You know,
that record looks like every record I have seen at every flea market for the last 25 years of my life.
except that it's Catholic, and like it's not like,
it's a Die Hard edition.
I'm telling you, man. Oh, I didn't even tell you the fucking artist's name. I just said a Holy Gospel Hymns too. So it's all like small there, right? But it's by Dr. H. Casolari.
Cancelled?
Casolari, Casolary, if you want to go looking for it. And I have a picture of this guy. I really don't know anything about him, but he sounds like a fucking crazy person, man. But like who really has it under control. You know, it's funny. I was listening to this with my wife when I first got it. And the guy's like, blessed are the poor in spirit, for they shall obtain heaven, or whatever it is. And my wife was like, holy shit, I had no idea how many like just little platitudes come from the Sermon on the Mount. which is
I know
totally true.
Nothing about religion. Nothing. And all the people that were scribbling down things to check out, I suddenly don't hear those pens and pencils scratching on papers anymore. I'm like, I hear a lot of what the fuck?
I can hear all the pencils hitting the desktops. As a teacher, I'm trained to that sound.
I love it.
We're going for unique records, though, man. This is like an outsider Jesus record. This is just so fucking crazy. You would appreciate this shit, Dan. Even if you didn't like it, I guarantee you'd appreciate it. So,
but is there anything on the actual music with sort of tangents? Is it sort of like dark and gothic sometimes, or is there anything that sort of tangents?
It's like it isn't supposed to sound that way, but it kind of does in spite of itself. Okay. You know what I mean? Shit, I should probably send you a copy of this. I actually have an extra.
Yes, you should. Yeah, definitely. Yes, do that.
So good, he's got multiple pressings. Everybody.
This guy is from like San Jose. So when I was in San Francisco in the '90s, these would turn up in the dollar bins and thrift stores occasionally. So yeah, this one was actually my friend's copy. He put me onto it. I loved it so much that he let me have it. And then later on, I found a copy at a thrift store. So I wasn't gonna let it sit there. I mean, I love this record. I'm not kidding. I fucking love this record. But first of all, it's not a metal record. And second of all, there's nothing else that sounds like it.
Do you have the clear version of that one, the clear variant, or the orange and blood splattered
splatter vinyl?
Splatter
See,
vinyl.
there you go. If you're sick to death of like that kind of shit, that's like sort of the antidote. So, yeah, it's a weird record, man.
Tell me the Die Hard comes with a communion wafer with the band logo stamped on it or something.
Comes with a poster.
I had a black metal tape that came with a broken host, actually. Or I guess it's not a host.
I've heard of one or two things that did. So.
Yeah, who was it? Mescaline Massacre or something like that. The guy was weird. He's from Germany. We can move on though.
All right,
yeah,
Alan.
Nick's got the right idea. All right. Oh, I got to pick one. I do want to. Been chatting with Courtney over in the chat. It's her first time checking out the live, and yeah, kind of knows the Bowling Green scene where I lived for a while. So just pulled this off the shelf. It doesn't fit the topic whatsoever, but yeah, Courtney has to have a little bit of the old Charlotte's Web and 5-Story Fall stuff. Can't find this on a digital copy anywhere though, and I don't know if this cassette would still play, but yeah, their first demo was really cool. From this one came out in spring of '92. I bought it at Mad Hatter.
One of the rare tapes that Alan owns. Everybody, there it is.
One of the last cassette tapes I do keep around, even though I don't think I can play it. All right, but right now I need something that's a little more strange and unique. This is a classic one. Wish I had an original copy of it, but not a ton of folks do. It's the Slaughter Extroy's Winter Kill. So this was one of those private press holy grails from the mid 80s US. I think it came out in 85. Very unique sound for this band. Lots of American bands around this time, if we're honest, were completely just trying to do a Judas Priest, Iron Maiden kind of thing. Priest and Maiden had come through the U.S. on big nationwide tours in the early 80s, and tons of teenagers left those concerts, determined to form a band and become rock legends themselves. Yeah, and some of those bands were good, some of them not so good. But tons of those bands have that template. Slaughter Extroy's doesn't really sound quite like anything. The song structures, there's a basic metal template, but there's always like weird, quick little diversions in the songs. You can tell they also had to have a love for like progressive rock music, not just heavy metal music. And then to top it all off, they had this amazing singer named John Stewart. He's passed away about 8 years ago. Great set of pipes, really could belt it out. And having a good singer was key to having a successful band back then, because most bands didn't. You could find a rhythm section that could keep time. You could find a hotshot guitarist if you looked around. But somebody who really knew how to sing, that was often the missing link for bands. His vocals are amazing on here, but they're also kind of wild and trippy. I mean, he's really preaching it from behind the mic sometimes. The songs do very different things. It's not an especially long album, but I mean, you have, one kind of, soft, it feels like a ballad, but it's got a darker, kind of sadder tone. It's not like, would never have made it as an MTV kind of ballad whatsoever. You've got, weird songs with esoteric lyrics. You have angry songs. The closing track on it's called Motherfucker. Not Motherfucker. Motherfucker. For some reason, it was important to repeat the mother. I don't know why, but it's just emblematic of the kind of quirkiness, of the band. So yeah, this one became, a cult classic over the years. The original pressing is extremely hard to find and very, very expensive, but it has been reissued several times. It should have just a plain white cover behind the distinct logo. This CD pressing has a blue and white color scheme, which shows that, yes, it's a total poser thing, and I don't have a real copy. It was the only original recording. There were other songs they recorded. So there was a collection called like Free the Beast. I don't remember if it was supposed to be a second album in the works or just demos they worked on, but never came together. Members ended up working in other projects that are also pretty good and kind of eclectic, such as Energy Vampires. But the Slaughter Destroys album, it is one of those rare cases where you've got this a limited, hard to find indie press thing, and a lot of those get hyped, but this one gets hyped with good reason. It really does deserve all the praise it gets. Nobody sounded like them, and it's a real shame they didn't get a chance to do a bit more or, be exposed on a bigger stage, because they really did have a cool sound. So I'll open the floor for any discussion on Slaughter Destroys.
Great pick. Yeah. Managed to see them for the second time live. Was it last year at original? I only had the 90s read press, but yeah.
They blacked that out at the original.
You could get a marker and fill that in yourself. Fill in play Hangman on the back of the album jacket.
Well, it is the right number of little blanks.
It's almost proto prog metal on a couple of songs, and then sometimes it's hard rock. And a very eclectic album and lots of great tracks on it. I think that the vocalists, second band, Energy Vampires. Hot take. I think Energy Vampires is a better band than Slaughter Destroys. They were,
I think they're a more focused
unique
band,
and even better songs. The problem, this is actually a great reissue from Shadow Kingdom Records. It's probably 10 plus years old now.
Yeah, it's actually probably close to 20, sadly.
Sort of weird. There's sort of like a high-end hiss to it, but the songs and the music is even more original and even better. This is one of my favorite, what should I say? So like demo reissue albums. And so if you like Slaughter Destroys, check out this stuff as well. Probably there's a CD version as well, maybe other reissues, but I think this is still the only vinyl version. It's a double album of all the Energy Vampire demo stuff. Cool.
It's not that expensive because I bought it last time he hyped it.
Oh, cool. I talked about it before, so yeah.
No, that's a cool shout out, Dan. Yeah, the Energy Vampires project, they lean a little gothic, but not gothic rock. I mean, they just have like more of a gothic imagery with like big candelabras and
sort of like horror metal.
Yeah, that's probably a better phrase for it. They get that kind of horror metal vibe. But yeah, some of those songs on the Energy Vampires set absolutely rip. They're really they are a little more tighter and more focused than the Slaughter Destroys material. So both very cool, just in different ways.
Yeah, I still haven't gotten. I still don't feel like I've cracked the nut on Energy Vampires yet. but it's another one that I pull out periodically, and sort of one of these days I'll get it. It's definitely not bad. It's just I'm not. I haven't received it all yet. You know.
It's fair. Yeah, it's the kind of thing that can be weird. It clicked with me fast, but I can see it not clicking with people right off the bat either.
It's a funny thing when that happens too, because I don't know about you, but with me, it's like, how did I ever not get this? This is just so obviously fantastic. You know what I mean?
I'll show an example of that here in a little bit. An album I didn't get for a long time, and now it's like one of my favorites of the genre. But I could not grok it for ages. It's in the stack. We'll get there.
All right.
Well, it's funny. This band feels is kind of not that weird anymore, but when I first stumbled upon them a long time ago, they did strike me as a bit off and odd, and that'd be Lord Weird Sluffeg.
Oh yeah.
This is Down Among the Dead Men. This is a band that a very playful band. I really enjoy this band for their riff writing. There's a take Thin Lizzy style guitar work and metalize it a little bit more. Just very unique heavy metal, and the riffs are just. But this is another one of those almost perfect riff albums. You were around when you were in San Francisco area when these guys were. Did you see them play much?
A lot of times.
Yeah, were they great?
Yeah, they were always fucking great, dude. I saw them when I think of like shows I've been to in my life where I like had the most fun. At the very at the top of the list, in the top 5 probably, is a show of them and Brocus Helm. At the bottom of the hill
cool.
in San Francisco.
Yeah,
and they're really melodic too, Slavic. That's what I think is really unique about them. And we feel that when they were making those records too, they were like going against everything, like all of sort of the industrial inertia, making records that sound that classic and traditional and yet still so like unique.
Yeah, classic and traditional. And the twin guitar leads are very special. Like I said, you have fun listening to these records, and I can't remember the main guy's voice name. What the hell, John? Is it John? What the hell's the singer? I can't remember his name.
It's the same as a sci-fi author.
Yeah, something Scalzi.
Mike Scalzi.
Yeah, right. Mike Scalzi.
Yeah. He's just got such a unique voice and a really strong vibrato, and it just really fits in there weirdly in the music. But again, it highlights the fun aspect of this music. Uplifting, well written. I like how they go between kind of folk tales type thing to sci-fi to wherever they want to go. And every album I have of theirs, there's some that are better than others and some perfect, but there's nothing ever bad. I don't know. They just have their own sound, their own style. I think a lot of it goes back to, like I said, I listen to it and I hear Thin Lizzy, a metalized Thin Lizzy. And that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. This is a great band. If you're not familiar with Lord Weird Sluffeg, they dropped the Lord Weird at one point and became Sluffeg for a while, but now they're back to the Lord Weird Sluffeg. Fantastic band. Check them out. If you're into heavy metal, these guys nail it. All right.
That one and Traveler and Atavism, I think, are 10 out of 10 albums.
Atavism is a great record
three,
too.
10 out of 10.
Yep.
Yeah. So glad to have seen that band quite a lot of times live, because they tour quite a lot and visit Europe quite a lot. And for me, the Slow Feg were sort of like the first, and I really need to pronounce this well now, new metal band. Like the first band inspired by the 80s to release albums. I mean, the early demos are from like the early 90s, but they were the first. I do not want to use the word retro band, but they were the first traditional metal band that sort of inspired late 90s, 2000s and onwards bands, I think. I sort of missed out on them on the very first years of their career, but around the time I think that Traveler came out, the coin finally dropped, and perfect.
You know, it's kind of funny because I'm a little bit late to them, but it always seemed to me like they were kind of slogging it out, doing their own thing when the whole traditional metal thing wasn't popular, and all of a sudden that got popular.
Yeah.
And they never really rose with that popularity. They always kind of stayed.
They were earlier.
They were earlier, but they kind of, it seemed like the traditional metal crowd would have really gravitated towards Lord Weird just for the fact that they were so unique. They weren't trying to
rediscovered. I know what you're saying.
They never really grew. Granted, they made it onto Metal Blade and put out a few records there, but it just seemed like their popularity never really matched what was happening at the time when all that stuff came up again. And now that's kind of stagnating again, I guess, but Sluffeg keeps rolling on. You know, they just put out that EP that Return to the Traveler concept that me and Alan reviewed, and they still rule. They still sound great.
Yeah. I always got the sense that Slothrig was probably just a little too outside the box to be like, to blow up really, really big. The people who found them, and like that, style of music are going to love them. But I think they were always just a little off center to ever get to that. They were never going to be an Eminem Arth, level of popularity with that style. But that's okay. They're good at what they do. Very good.
All right, Dan, you're back.
Yeah, I'm getting the impression that you guys are sort of falling behind on the cult, really weird US albums. I had to pick, at least start with one of them, which you're sort of, I was suspecting Alan or Aaron to pick. So spoiler alert, it's time to talk about Lester Maddox.
There we go.
Yeah. I think I actually picked this album as well for our very old stream about black and white album covers. But, I mean, we can't have a stream about Weird Tales metal and not talk about Lester Maddox and their debut album, Gothic Lore, from '86, I think. Another one of these US private pressings, black and white covers. Gothic lore, knights on the cover and everything. It's sort of hard to tell what to expect. This is very much not traditional metal. I would say there are parts of this which sort of could be as epic as the front pick implies. But no, this is weird. This is generally really weird and unique, almost sort of like outsider metal and hard rock. There is quite a diverse style on this album. I think the first song, like Fairy Tales, sounds it is almost downright corny. It sounds like a folk rock tune sung by a goth guy. And then you have I don't want to get Marty in trouble, so I can't even say the title of the second song. The title of the second song is not about what it's called. You can Google it, whatever. But it's really drony. Star Child and Fire Giver is drony, sort of stoner doom outsider metal. It is so fantastically charming and unique and homemade. And my favorite song on the whole album, no, it's not Egypt. The chains are not on, but off. Yeah.
Shades of Dio. Almost.
Oh yeah. Total Doom. I would say my favorite song is In the Heat of the Night, which sounds like it would be a total poser hard rock hair metal song. No, it's a perfect warped outsider doom song. And then there's a shitty ballad and sort of a generic hard rock song towards the end. But I mean, it's so hard to explain that there is no other band that sounds like Lester Maddox. Maybe sort of in the same vibe actually as Drakar, though there are no thrash or speed vibes on this one, but definitely in the same vibe of 80s metal strangeness. I want to put out a warning that the second album, I'm going to pick it out just to never ever pick it out by mistake. Oh, there it is. Yeah. No. Oh, this is important because I really do not want anyone out there to, by mistake, pick out their second album, the live album, Burning the World Live. It is the most generic piece of ultra boring hard rock crap ever. It is so weird that the same band released a masterpiece and this tired, absolutely ultra generic hard rock garbage. Very weird. Killer band, weirdly enough the same band, but not so killer. Lester Maddox. This is will forever be one of my favorite US Pride presents.
Yeah. Is it all the same guys, or is it some deal where it's just like?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's so. We'll see. Dave, Vic Nye, Daryl. Yeah, at least three names are the same. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what to say then. I've never sought out that second one.
No.
All right, Aaron.
Well, shit.
Do it, Aaron. Read a comment.
Scott's calling for it.
All right, let's do this one, man.
Oh no.
Dude, this is a really good fucking record, and it has a bad reputation. Fucking yeah. Dark Ages. Yeah, I think actually this one I've never been able to keep straight if the band's called Medieval Sorcery or the record is. No. Apparently it's Dark Ages.
Dark Ages is the band name.
But I think I had them misfiled. Yeah, man, this is like some bizarro world shit. It's like I don't know. I want to say it's like if you described it's what you described metal to pod people was like, and then they made it. It would sound like this. But I don't know if that really captures it. It's there's like this woman who apparently plays lead bass and sings on this thing. And she's really not that great. Now, yeah, it's funny because she sounds like she's struggling, you know what I mean? And that's one thing about like some singers, I kind of appreciate that, you know what I mean? And the bass is really high in the mix, and that's kind of cool too. Like the way it holds the riff sort of steadies the song while like all this weird shit's going on around it. Like I think it's mostly guitar, but I'm not even completely sure. There's like all this weird fucking noise in there. The bass is playing the solid riff and she's like sort of screeched on top of it. Like it's definitely metal, you know. I've heard this described as punky. I mean, I can see why, but no more. I mean, only by virtue of the fact the singer isn't all that great. It's a really cool record, and even the singing is like distinct. You know, it's kind of shitty, but it's shitty in a really unique way. That's also really interesting. You know, which is mostly just like struggling and kind of straining on shit, not being all that in tune and shit, which is fucking fine by me. So anyway, yeah. People shit on this record, but they're wrong. This record is fucking fantastic. Okay, maybe it's not fantastic, but it's really good. I just took a few hours ago to confirm.
Well, it's not really good. It's
I have opinions.
Yeah,
I remember that was one of the records that you remember the old Rare Ass catalogs from Dennis Berger on.
Yeah, well, that was Phil Baker who wrote those.
Those were like in the late 90s, my introduction to, there's really rare metal, which was weird. And only by the comments led me to bands like, you know, Black Hole and Slaughter Extras and stuff like that. Man. And that album, which looked so bloody cool, and hunted it for a couple of years, bought it, and was so pissed off because I hated it. But it fits the theme of tonight because it's really weird, and as everyone else, we thought the band name was Medieval Sorcery, but it's sort of flipped. I think I've heard a song on a compilation tape from a few years later where it sounds more metal, so you can actually tell that they intended to be a metal band probably. But listening to the MIDI album, you really can't be sure, because it's sort of like, it's so noisy and weird. So like it could be an artsy post-punk band as well, maybe. But it's one of those, for me personally, it's one of those almost albums. But man, was I disappointed the first time I heard it, because I had so high expectations of it. So, and I don't have it anymore, but I've probably had it like 2 times. I tried a second time and got rid of even the second copy. Yeah, but yep, totally fits the night's theme.
I did know what I was getting when I bought it. Like I was fully aware. I did this with my eyes open. I was like, I really want to hear what this fucking thing sounds like, because people say it's shit, but I want to hear for myself how shitty it is. And like, I remember liking it or thinking it was kind of cool, but I just put it on today, like when I was trying to decide if I should include it in my stack here or not. And I liked it more than I remembered liking it. So I was like, well, fuck, man, I'm gonna just fucking stand up for this band. And that fucking comment from Jeremy earlier about the fucking how we're gonna trick him into listening to something ridiculous. That's like my whole channel. That's like all I do. So that cuts deep, man.
Yeah. All right, Alan is up next.
All right, I'll bounce to something very different here. I mentioned a few minutes ago that, yeah, one of these weird albums I did not connect with for many, many years. I would revisit it from time to time, and it always went completely over my head. And very much, it was just like, I don't get this because it's up here and I'm down here. Finally, a few years ago, maybe not that long ago, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, gave it another chance, and it finally clicked. I was just like, oh my God, how did I not like this the whole time? Like you were saying, Aaron, I feel stupid for not having gotten it sooner. But it is a complicated album. There's a reason I missed it. We're talking about Atheist, Unquestionable Presence. Yeah, Atheist was always a bit ahead of the curve on the Florida death metal scene. Yeah, even the debut, Piece of Time, stands out in terms of just, having the next level musicianship going on. But that album still fits in the general population of what was happening in Florida. But when they came back with this one, this rewrote the playbook completely. The band's, completely diving into their jazz, and improvisational kind of chops. But they're melding it into a death metal framework. This isn't what you hear bands do very often. A lot of bands that are into those kind of styles, when they put it into death metal, they just do a transition, like Opeth. They play death metal for a couple of minutes, and then they play the smooth jazz section for a minute. And then they go back to a death metal section for a minute. Atheist takes those two things and does them simultaneously, and it is wild. And very few bands can really capture that kind of creativity. I mean, it helps they had killer talent in the band. They're well known. We don't need to break it down band member by band member, but the lineup they had was perfect to take those two very disparate worlds and mesh them into something really unique. There have definitely been other progressive death metal bands and other bands that brought in those kind of different outside influences, but Unquestionable Presence does it in a way that is just jaw-droppingly good. Again, I've played this pretty regularly on and off the past couple of years. I can still play it and just be like, holy shit, I can't believe what these guys are able to pull off. And it's not like the songs are especially long. It's not a really long, drawn-out album. It's pretty short and to the point. Most of the songs are. But they are so packed with, all these little details. Yeah, just a really cool, unique combination of styles that you'd have to be. You have to be this good to make it work, and fortunately Kelly Schaefer and the rest of the guys, they were that good. So yeah, I am really happy I finally clicked with that album. It's now, yes, among my favorite things to listen to. I have to be in the right mood for it. It's not something you're just going to play day in and day out, I don't think, but it's a fantastic listen and a real kind of testament to what you can do with heavy music. Definitely a strange and unique and classic one.
All right.
Atheist. Piece of Time for me. That's a 10 out of 10 record.
That's the one I go to.
When
Yeah.
it came out, sold them live, I think the same year or the year after in Sweden. Before, was it the guitarist, the bass player who passed away?
Yeah, he died kind of in between these two albums.
Roger Patterson.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I remember when that album came out, and I was so excited to listen to it. And for me, even back then, when I was sort of trying to find out about more weird album, it was too progressive for me because Piece of Time was sort of semi-progressive or technical, but still sort of epic death thrash. It was too weird for me, and I have not come back to it in decades. When I saw it on the GIF for tonight's show, I realized that I really need to revisit it. So thanks for a great reminder.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I come from the exact same background, Dan, where Piece of Time, I always understood that album and always really liked it. It's like, that was a fantastic album. But yes, this one, first time hearing it, is just like, what?
They took it a step further for sure. I mean, Piece of Time, there was no weird tangents. It was just technical, but still hooky. You know, they didn't go too far with the
genius
technicality. Yeah.
So I exactly get where you're coming from. That was me about 3 years ago. That's where I was stuck with Atheist, was that same place.
Oh, did anybody bring?
Now I just have to figure out Elements.
I never thought Great Cat actually put out records. I just remember seeing her ads in magazines and thinking that's not real.
No, she's got albums. I had one of them.
Was it good?
Die. She was on Roadrunner or Road Racer, I think. She's actually had a bunch of singles come out this month.
Like new singles?
Let's not go down that rabbit hole. There's nothing good to discuss there. Let's just
Beethoven on speed, man. There we go.
I love the fact that she exists.
Dan has a nice positive spin on it, and we are going to leave it right there because that's great and I love it, but we shall go no further. Marty, what you got next?
Well, what I have isn't necessarily super weird, but at the time, it felt weird, I guess. Pandemonium.
It's super weird.
That's super weird. Dude, that's a perfect pull.
Yeah.
Chaos.
I didn't even think of it because I don't know this band very well. I need to, but I don't.
You know, Swedish death metal, but, you know, they kind of throw caution to the wind and just goof around in the studio. You got Dan Swano's brother coming in and doing some honks and squawks on the saxophone, John Zorn style. And weird moments of crowd noise mixed in like they're playing in a stadium and just weird things. Not necessarily in the prog sphere. It's trying to be avant-garde. They're fucking with Swedish death metal, which at the time no one was really doing that. So it's definitely cool. Dan Swano's in this band. Yeah, he was Disira. Yeah. Bass, keyboards, and hand claps. Winter drums. Well, I think that was Benny.
Marty, please. I'm sorry to interrupt, but let's stop right there. A nitpick, but something that grinds my gears.
Uh-oh.
When you are writing the credits to any piece of music,
hand claps.
I get, yes, you want to identify what each person contributed, their creativity and imagination and technical know-how. Do you really need to credit who clapped their fucking hands on the album?
There's three members credited as hand claps, so it was very important to be made well known who was doing what.
Do I get a credit in the show notes because I'm doing the hand claps for this episode?
Yeah,
no, because anybody can do it. A trained monkey can do it. A 3-year-old with a spoon on a table can handle that.
But they doing it in Swedish death metal? Are they doing it in Swedish death metal, Alan? Come on.
That doesn't mean they have to do it, but if they do it, you don't need to give credit for clapping your hands.
But dude, if I've been clapping my hands, I would really want to see that credit.
Well, I'm sure if that was the only contribution you made, I'm sure you would. But we can't all get a participation trophy as much as we want.
They could in
I'm sorry,
1992.
no more hand clapping credits on albums. It goes on the list right below no dolphins on albums and all the other things I've ranted about over the years. No hand clap credits. That is not a skill worthy of the ink it takes to print in the liner notes. No. Bad. I'm very sorry, Marty. Please continue.
Oh no, this really is Swedish death metal. They're having fun. You know, Edge of Sanity, of course, would be a touchstone for this. These guys are a little bit less adventurous in the fact of their music, but all the other things that they incorporate into said music is where they're kind of breaking some barriers down, I guess you could say. But Winter on vocals and drums. No, I'm sorry, Derelict on vocals and hand claps. Great band. All their stuff is good. Even when the band basically degenerated just into Just Dance Wino, those albums are really good by themselves as well. So excellent.
Oh yeah, such a great pick. I think we talked about them in this one of the Swedish metal streams as well, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I remember it. Even when we only had like a preview cassette of the first album, me and my friends were sitting and listening to it, and it was so breaking with there was sort of like the first avant-garde progressive truly weird death metal band, I think. And that's the second one is really good as well. My favorite is the third one, which was released on, what's the name of the US label? Relapse.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
The third one, masterpiece. Used to have all albums. For some reason, sold off a big part of my CD collection. Don't have it anymore and regret it.
I remember back when those were coming out, they were super. I had to get mine via tape trading. They never turned up anywhere. I don't know what
they were on Osmos, French Osmos.
That's
records,
why
right?
Around here, Osmos never. That always felt like one of those labels. It was like a Grail label to get stuff from because it never turned up. So you had to order it special and then pay the import fees and all that bullshit. But
or you had to help something like JL America. Was that the one? Yeah, what they were called. Yeah, would license a few other things, but it would always be like a pretty cheap reissue.
Bare minimum packaging, and
you didn't get a booklet, you got an insert.
An insert. All right, Dan, you are back.
I'm back. Yeah. We're talking about certain countries being really good with producing weird music and weird metal. We had a Finnish example earlier. Turning it around, I would say that Japan is the Finland of Asia, or as you usually say.
Can we get a T-shirt that says that? Because I like this.
We have to pick weird Japan records. I'm not. I have my faves from Japan. I'm not a huge Japanese metal collector or fan. I think there are a lot of really talented and well-performed traditional metal bands who they have a tendency to do everything super great and to the point. But as far as old Japanese metal goes, it's either like really by the numbers like the US or European bands, or like totally weird. I'm picking one of the weirdest ones and one of my first picks when picking out albums for this stream. Can't have Weird Tales without Tabasa. I can hold up the sleeve for like 5 minutes and not talk. But no, this is a Japanese band who released plenty of demos, but only, I was going to say only one album. They might actually have released the CDs as well. I'm not sure. I don't know anything about CDs. But this album from, I think it is 87, 88, is it is so disturbingly weird. The cover, and if you look at the back cover and like the insert and everything, there's some vibe about this album that when you see it, it's like this is not made for Western consumption. You know, this is not. No one from the West or outside Japan are supposed to buy and listen to this. This is like the definition of foreign metal. And when you put it on, the first song, Dancing Freaks, is not metal at all. It sounds like post-punk goth. It sounds like fucking Virgin Prunes. And the second song, The Grail, is total 80s Judas Priest. And then it just gets weirder. It is a very diverse album of weird, gothic, doomy, post-punky, hard rock, traditional metal, and sort of really cool stuff in between. Unfortunately, it sounds like it's recorded on a 4-track home studio. It is sort of like a demo soundy recording, which is the major flaw of this album. And not every song is absolutely great. If this had been, it's one of those albums, if this had been a mini album, would have been a 10 out of 10 masterpiece. It is sort of maybe a bit too diverse for its own good. But I think the combination of the weird band name, the fantastic sleeve art, and generally just having this really private press from the other side of the planet vibe to it makes it really special. But it's, well, I mean, I can't really compare it to any other Western bands. I mean, sometimes so there's a couple of songs that are like almost normal hard rock metal songs. But the best parts are the little fine things in between. And these sort of like weird sound effects with like children's choirs and like wailing women in the background. But it's, as I said, when we came up with this theme, this was like I had sort of like 4 or 5 obvious albums to pick out and talk about. This was definitely one of them. Tabasa from Japan, creepy, weird Japan madness, and yeah, very foreign, very much. You're not supposed to buy this. You're a Westerner. Go fuck off.
Go buy your Ghost records instead.
Yeah, exactly. This is not meant for Western consumption.
Hey! Now let's not say things we can't take back here.
Yeah.
Ghosts hitting a little below the belt.
Yeah.
Come on.
Have any of you guys heard this one?
No.
Nope.
Okay.
No. But Dan, the chat is definitely wanting more insights about this whole
it is not a masterpiece.
Japan relationship.
It is not a masterpiece, but it is one of those albums that everyone should check out because it's funny and some parts are magical.
We all know the Swedes and the Finns have a fun little relationship with each other.
Yeah.
North, I'm going to be up all night trying to untangle that one in my brain.
All right. Aaron.
Well, shit. You know something? I'm just going to let's do this one.
Oh, thank you.
There you go.
I'll be right back.
Another one where I was like, oh, they actually had 3 albums, but I don't know, man. This is probably the weirdest, but that's mostly because it's probably the cheapest. Awesome. Just everything about this fucking record is weird. Like that logo is weird, and like this primitive ass computer font that they have, the typeface. Yeah. But this record is great. It's like this weird, like it's doomy, but it's sort of driving, and like the whole sound of the band has like this snarl in it, and there's this weird effect on the vocals too. Yeah, I don't know, man. It just there's something really sort of dark and really weird about it, and really kind of the best part is that I'm pretty sure this was a fake band.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I figured you'd probably know this story, but they made 3 albums that I'm aware of. This is the first one, and then Evil Friendship, and oh fuck, I can't remember the title of the third one. I'm getting old, man.
Bible or something like that.
Yeah, it's anyway. This is still kind of my favorite. It's still it's the roughest, but they're all like totally worth checking out and having. And yeah. Oh, and it's from the UK too.
Yeah.
I mean, that might be part of it, but it's funny. Like, I tend to be cynical about like the second half of the '80s out of the UK, because like that, most of what they were doing was crap, I thought, or just, you know, low quality. But there are a few exceptions, and this is one of them, man. This is just a weird record. Like, someone was doing something really innovative, and they were doing it all by themselves. Because and it totally wasn't appreciated at the time. I remember the negative Metal Hammer. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That band was one of my picks for tonight, so glad you picked it. I don't have any official sources that confirms it, but I'm pretty sure this was sort of like it's definitely a studio project, because there were never any interviews, demo reviews, live reviews in any fanzines and mags back from the day. So my impression is that this is sort of like a weird studio project, one or two guys, and it's actually sort of similar to the Metal Enterprises weird albums, but musically better. And that first one is it is probably the weirdest one, but it's sort of like robotic, and it's it's one of those metal plotations albums where you sort of get the impression that the guy who wrote this one heard about the concept of heavy metal and wanted to recreate it, and it ended up sounding like nothing else. If I would have picked one album, I would probably have picked the second one. Because I think this is musically the most enjoyable one. The second one, The Evil Friendship, I like to sort of explain it as the mix of the Czech band Root meets Def SS, basically, because there's even like blast beats on one of the songs, and it's sort of like drony, and yeah. If you like Def SS, if you like Root and want to hear a metal plotation, a British metal plotation mix-up of those bands, check out this one.
All right.
Yeah.
Alan is next.
All right. Well, if you're a Norwegian second wave black metal band, your career path is pretty easy and laid out for you. Not hard. Yeah, you start, with cool atmospheric, Nordic sound. Then you do a weird acousticy kind of thing. Then you come back with more raw, blazing black metal. And then you record something called the Marriage themes from William Blake's The Marriage of Heaven and Hell.
That one actually came with a sweater.
Yeah, there's a coupon where you can send away to get your own free shaved cat named
the cats weren't making it in the mail too well, so they had to discontinue that promotion.
you had to pick them up from a local shelter to make it humane. Yeah. Over became the poster child for strange and unique in the late 90s and especially into the early 2000s, and it was unusual because they had established themselves as this, really big force in the whole Norwegian black metal scene. Two of the many people consider all three of the first albums essential. The second album is different, but a lot of people still love it. But then, 98, they come out with album number 4 and go where nobody expected them to go whatsoever. This is one of the cases. I said there'd be some albums that would probably step out of bounds from heavy metal. If someone wants to say this isn't heavy metal, I'm not really going to die on that hill and try to convince them it is. It leans into lots of other stuff. There's a lot of electronics here and some trip hop, and it's just this really strange mix of things. Now, there may be bands in some of these other genres that do things that sound like themes from William Blake's, but I'm not aware of many other metal bands who strayed into this particular sound. Some Norwegian bands have definitely done different experimental things. Folks have been talking about like, Solofald in the chat. Maybe one of those bands did stray into this zone and I'm just not aware of it. I'm not well versed in a lot of the more weird side of Norwegian stuff. I know bits and pieces of it, but I don't know it inside out, like, for example, the guys over at Radical Research do. All of that said, this was obviously kind of a controversial album when it came out. Many people didn't get it. Somehow it showed up used at the local record store very soon after it came out. Gee, you can't imagine why.
Yeah.
I decided everyone's up in arms. This was one that was getting talked about a lot on some of those early heavy metal online forums. Some people loving it, some people hating it. It was pretty clear. It's like, I'm just going to have to listen to the thing and decide for myself. And so I did. And I clicked with the album really quick. Now that I'm thinking about it, there is a chance I had heard this through tape trading before I managed to find a used copy. So I might have to revise that a little bit because I seem to remember having this on a cassette. Regardless, for all its weirdness and all of its non-heavy metal aspects, I thought it was a really cool and interesting experiment. There are parts of it that I think are really catchy and hold together really well. There are parts where they meander a bit. But, just the fact that you had a band that just a year or two before this had done Nathan's Madrigal, this extremely raw, cold blast of Norwegian black metal. They come back just a year or so later, and they're taking this and adapting it into like a 84-minute 2 CD electronic translation. I was just like, you know what? I'm on board with this. I am okay with this. It's not something I take out and play very often, but when I'm in the mood for it, I still really do enjoy giving it a spin. Over's not a band I kept up with there. After this one, the Over experiments continued to get a bit stranger and stranger, and I kind of just lost interest after one or two more releases. There was a soundtrack, for a small movie they did, I think it was called Lycanthropon. That I thought was extremely boring.
Yeah.
There was an EP that came out around the time that I thought was like, it's okay, but there's nothing great on here. Perdition City was an album I had a hard time with. It's one I've been meaning to revisit because a lot
of people love that record. Yeah.
A lot of people do, and I didn't. It had this very urban aspect to it, and that just didn't fit with me for some reason. It's an album I'll give another chance in the near future. Is the kind of thing if I saw it used for $8, I'd be like, yeah, absolutely, we'll give it another spin for $8, but it's just not high on my priority list. But yeah, Over's been all over the place. They've made 2 albums in the past year to very little fanfare, but neither of them are bad, and both of those are completely different too. One is a very much an 80s poppy synthwave album with a lot of very catchy, simple, memorable songs. And the other one's completely instrumental and, has these kind of more lush soundscapes to it that makes good background music. I don't think I'm ever going to get deeply into it, but they're still out there just doing their own thing, which tends to be pretty unique to what just about anybody else out there does. So it felt like Over needed a mention, even if it is an album that most people are pretty iffy about.
All right. Well, we're going to stick in Norway here, and I haven't been showing much black metal, so let's throw in a black metal album. I always really like this album, In the Streams of Inferno by Mysticum. This is really not that weird. It's still very much Norwegian-sounding black metal. But
it's kind of unique, though, for sure.
It is completely unique in the fact that they do not hide the fact that they are completely all in on the drum machine. And the drum machine, and then they interject some keyboard stuff, some minor loops swirling below the surface. And the way that they interact with the drum machine, it isn't a band just trying to play regular styled black metal. They're really focusing on stripped down and cold. and even the vocalist is very acidic and cold. Sounds frozen, and it always has this really mechanical atmosphere to it, but mixed with a little bit of the Norwegian atmosphere. I always thought it was incredibly unique. Would have liked another album in this realm, but after many years, they finally came out with the long proposed Planet Satan album. This is where they completely throw themselves into the EDM or techno side of, techno. And they incorporate it surprisingly very well with their form of black metal. And the thing of it is, it really kind of opened them up to become far more visual band instead of just three guys standing there waiting for a machine to start playing. They erected these giant pillars with video screens surrounding them. The music is completely, the lights and the video screens are completely in sync with the music. It is amazing. You don't even care about the guys. They're kind of just little silhouettes perched on these pillars, and the way the music is interacting with the video screens moving around the entire stage, it's impressive. I can't say I like this direction a whole lot. I do like electronic music. I'm not a big techno guy, and they didn't go the industrial route. They went into the booty shaking, take ecstasy, the boom, 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 boom type of thing. It's weird. It's weird how they went there, but I guess I see why it took them a while to put this record out, because in a way they're pushing some boundaries, and I don't really remember how this was received. I remember being a little on the fence about it myself, but interesting. It's still, this to me is a classic, and no one really talks about it much. It's just one of those, they're obviously not as well talked about as the rest of the scene right now, but I interviewed a couple of these dudes on the phone for Worm Gear back in the day, and they were completely hilarious. I've some Norwegian folks I've met over the years, they're a little quiet until they get to know you. These guys, they came right out of the gate silly. I don't know if they were stoned, what the deal was, but they were pretty funny. But anyway, Mysticum had to be
Marty Frazier was wondering if that was a Moonfog pressing.
Yeah,
on the Mysticum.
This is the Full Moon Productions pressing. This is the first
Full
pressing.
Moon. Okay, there you go, Frazier.
The other one is Peaceful. All right, Dan. Anyway, Mysticum, any thoughts, comments? Nothing.
Oh.
All right.
Well, nobody's gonna have any comments about this band either, so no worries. I have to pick some really exotic metal as well, because there are not a lot, but there are quite a few bands and recordings out there from non-traditional metal havens in the world. And when I got the question when we started this stream about what's been going on at Corroseum, I was talking about, I finally finished this this insane mega project of documenting the Malaysian and Singapore hard rock and metal vinyl outputs of the second half of the 80s and early 90s, because they had a really huge, even before, I think as far as Singapore or Malaysia, or specifically Singapore, are if there's anyone who knows about this scene, it's usually because of the late 80s, but mostly early 90s extreme metal, so like early black metal bands from that scene. But they had a huge hard rock and pretty mainstream hard rock and metal scene in Malaysia and Singapore. It was, it was a huge mainstream thing. There was even a word for it, rock kapak. And musically, these bands were, well, first of all, they were really quality stuff. The problem with the albums was that sort of like between 50 and 80% of the music on these actual albums were state-sanctioned shitty ballads and schmallads. There were a few exceptions. There's a dozen or two really killer metal albums from this area and era, which are really great. But generally, they were not like super original. Even the best metal bands were sort of like quite similar to European and US bands at the time. Really high quality, often really good vocals as well. But there's at least one band which really sounded uniquely Southeast Asian or sounded really exotic, and it's a band called Lovingborn, and just showing this album is sort of silly because this was never released on vinyl. This is just a promo version made for radio stations, like all the other 250 albums that were released during this period. So they just make a blank sleeve and just pasted the official cassette onto the sleeve.
Vinyl production back in the day must have been so much cheaper to do than it is today.
Oh yeah. Now, I mean, the cassette albums were really good, but if we sort of zoom in to that, it's actually quite a beautiful little picture there.
Yeah.
The reason just the band Lovingborn is my favorite is because they have a very strong vibe of the local folk and sort of dangdut, as they call it, music heritage. This is definitely hard rock and metal, but it is probably the most exotic sounding album I have in my collection. And also without being sort of weird, funny, bad, but still good, sort of good, bad, blah, blah, blah. No, I fucking love this album. I put it on all the time. This is seriously nothing short of a masterpiece. If you like really exotic local rock music and hard rock and metal, there's still a lot of ballads on this album, but they're not the traditional sort of lovey-dovey ballad bullshit. All the slow songs on this album are sort of folksy, Asian, atmospheric, Arabian Nights sounding stuff. And it is Lovingborn is a very hard, at least the first album is very hard to describe. For anyone who likes sort of, there is sort of like a still thread of metal songs through the ages, which sort of had this sort of Arabian Nights vibe, like, The Chains Are On with Dio, or what is it, like Vengeance Arabia, or there's so many. I think you know what I'm talking about. This is a whole album of it, but the real deal. This is not Westerners trying to sound exotic. This is a Southeast Asian rock band who's not trying to sound weird. They are doing, let's do hard rocking music. And well, music sounds like this, and then we make it hard, and it's also accidentally turned into hard rock and metal. That's the shorthand of it. This band made 3 albums. They're actually available on CD. They were released on CD as well, reissued on CD. I think the CDs are at least obtainable. Might be, in the 20, 30, 40 euros there, but all music is available on YouTube, of course. But I love all 3 albums by this band. This first one, Kekalkan. All 3 albums are also reviewed, of course, on the Corroseum. But check them out on YouTube and start off with this one. And then the title track of the second album is one of the greatest metal songs of all time. But my number 1 exotic metal album ever, I think. So I really want to hype.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right, Aaron.
All right. Yes, let's go with this one. This is kind of an obvious one, but what the hell? I can't hype this band too much. So this fucking record, this does not look like what it sounds like.
No,
Not at all. Nope.
And
cool cover.
it's fucking amazing. I mean, like, I remember when I was like a little kid, like when I was like 11, I would see some of these records around. I was like religious and shit, and I'd be like, I can't believe that's fucking real. And this is one of the ones that kind of freaked me out a little bit, you know? So when I went back a few years later, I was getting into metal, and I was like, ooh, but that's going to be heavy. And it sounded like this. No, man, not at all. This is like, I mean, it's like pop metal shit. It's going to be going too far to say it sounds like Asia. But maybe like if Asia played really good songs. But there's like this darkness to them too. But the bottom line is this is a really sort of slick, clean. This does not sound like a barroom band, you know, which is sort of an issue if you want to include these guys with the, you know, new wave of British heavy metal. Is they kind of don't have that sound because they were too professional and too well, just too good, frankly. But also like some serious pop sensibilities. So yeah, I mean, this has become a favorite record, man. And I think actually the second one, The Unexpected Guest, might be even a little bit better than this record because this one, you can tell some of the songs inside too aren't like their best shit, you know. But this one, I just had to get the pull because it freaked me out when I was a little kid. I love
Taking the World by Storm. That's
Totally.
my favorite one with them.
Yeah. See, I only have the first two, and I haven't really been crazy about what I've heard of the shit like starting with The Plague.
No. There's 2 or 3 crap albums in between, and then they made this masterpiece.
Yeah.
You need the 2 first one and this one, and maybe the one after this one, but this is my favorite.
Okay.
This is
What's the
epic
name of it
shit.
one more time?
Taking the World by Storm.
Okay,
It's sort of like if you liked Saracen, Hera Saints and Fools, you'll love this one.
Oh, yep, that could work.
Yeah.
All right, Ellen.
Still trying to get over Aaron comparing Demon to Asia in the heat of the moment. That was interesting.
Someone in the chat said, "Oh," Jeremy said, "So it's basically Toto."
It's like Demon are the Asia of Great Britain.
Dude, here's the other thing. What's even crazier about Demon, though, actually, I mean, if you like watch some of the videos, like the guys wearing these fucking masks and shit, I mean, they were all in. They just had like this real like pop sensibility. It's kind of insane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it is weird, and you're exactly right. It doesn't match what you're seeing at all. One that did that to me was the Incubus album, To the Devil a Daughter. Everything about this, the name, the band name, the album title, the cover art, everything about that one screamed, oh, this is going to be like Venom, but better. And it's like Praying Mantis or Dark Heart.
Dark Heart is great. Shut up.
And it's a good thing. It was meant as a compliment. It's like the music's not bad. It's just not what you're expecting after you've looked at it. You're expecting it to be, you know, blacker metal.
No, it's
and instead you're getting you know, Dark Heart and Praying Mantis kind of stuff, which is good, but it just doesn't match.
It really hurts when I make the Asia comparison because I really don't like Asia. I mean, I really think they're kind of crap in a lot of ways. But yeah.
I know what you're getting at, though. Yes, they have
right.
They could put that kind of, you know, pop hook into the song very effortlessly.
All right, Ellen.
All right, this one's pretty obvious, but it should be mentioned for, you know, strange and unique albums. Demonic with Dispenth. This album, you know, has become well known over time, so we don't need to spend
stack too.
a lot of. Yeah, I'm not going to dwell on this one for very long, but very few things have ever even attempted to sound like this. There's a newer band. They're called what? Marty Toughness.
Yeah,
goofy name. Yeah, that is apparently, you know, working in this mold pretty closely finally, but it's taken 35 years for a band to get pretty close to replicating the sound. A lot of folks a lot of people focus on how weird the vocals are here with this very deep burped kind of delivery.
Predator vocals.
Yeah, but I think that really sells the rest of the music short on here, because the rest of what they're doing is really crazy weird too.
Yeah.
It's well done. It's not random. It's not just, goofy. There's a method to the madness, and it works really well. But yeah, it's not just finished death metal with weird vocals. It's like, that's weird metal with weird vocals. The song titles alone give you an idea that it's just going to go into uncharted territory. I mean, was it Inherited Bowel Levitation? And then you read the lyrics, and it really is about somebody who's inherited this fatal condition of having their bowels levitate right out of their mouth one day. Just like father died, it says in the lyrics. It's like, what is it? It really is just like, huh?
The Finns, I tell you, we're a special breed upon the land.
Yeah, I mean, the song titles just go on and on and on and on. It's like reading the back of a Bal Sagoth album, except be crazier. So yeah, now again, this has become very well known over time. It was one of those things that was just so good that I don't think it could stay a hidden cult gem forever. Given time and enough exposure and the internet, word got around. The album's widely hailed as a classic these days. And again, rightfully so. And it also goes back to something we mentioned, like one of the very first, actually was the first one that you showed tonight, Dan. The fact that the band didn't repeat it does kind of make it more special. Like if they had done 3, 4, 5 more albums like this, maybe some of its charm would have worn off and we'd gotten a little tired of that kind of antic. But for all essential purposes, it was a one and done band. There's some other recordings, but really this was it. This was their statement. They did it, and good for them, because it is a wild ride that you will not get in many other albums.
Great hype. You got me genuinely curious in an album that's sort of outside my interest sphere, but
Okay.
I'm gonna check that one out.
Dude, it is really
might,
fucking. I'm surprised Alan likes him so much, because they're like the Voivod of death metal.
It's that's fair. They have that kind of very eclectic weirdness to them, and again, I will freely admit I'm not very consistent when it comes to these unusual bands. There are ones I will latch onto for strange reasons, and then the obvious ones like Voivod, I'm just like, huh? I just sit here and kind of drool on myself and don't get it.
Maybe someday that'll be one of those bands where you're like, how did I ever not love this?
It might be. And actually, Voivod is a band whose discography I'm kind of chewing on right now. One of my goals for 2026 has been to at least get more familiar with the discographies of several quote unquote bigger bands that I'm kind of weak on. Voivod's one of the first ones I'm tackling, along with Enslaved. So giving them a try. There's always a chance.
Well, I think you should prioritize Voivod over Enslaved. That's, I think, Enslaved kind of stuff.
I've kind of got them going side by side, which may or may not be a good idea.
I've never listened to an Enslaved album either. I saw them live twice. I hope they sucked both times.
I've always had trouble getting into Enslaved, but I've only heard like random album here and there. So again, it was too scattered. So I'm just like, screw it. I want to start at the beginning. Yeah. Work my way. I'm in no rush to do it. I'm not going to do it in a week or a month even. I'm just take my time, work through and see what I like, see what I don't like. And Voivod's going to be the same way. But enough about that. Marty, what you got next?
Well, I could have picked a more an older album by this band, but something from the reunion period. Master's Hammer.
Oh, good pick. Yeah,
one of those bands that always been. I think the earlier stuff is a little bit more. First couple albums, very much so, more traditional black metal, but there's some weirdness mixed in as they've gone on. They got a lot more strange, and as I think Alan, you reviewed it, the latest one. It's like a dance album, and I hate to say it, it's good. I like it. I listened to it. Cool. I'm like, man, it's like the Master's Hammer vocals over this goofy dance music. It's like, God, I like it, and because it still sounds like Master's Hammer. It retains that oddity that is a core tenet of their music, and yeah, their black metal is inventive and weird. And even when they got back together, everything I've heard after the reunion, it's been really good. I haven't heard every single album. I'm missing a few throughout the years, unfortunately. But when they come around, I snag them, and everyone is enjoyable. And they maintain enough of the core essence of black metal, but they push boundaries by there's perversity mixed in there. There's other, musical elements that come in and out, and they just seem to be careless, not careless in a bad way, but we're going to try whatever we want, whatever is, whatever's on our mind, we're going to try to put it into the music. And at the end of the day, it still turns up to be Master's Hammer. So yeah, if you're not familiar with Master's Hammer, check them out. There you go. There's a title.
Where did I put the what do you call it? Vattenkammare. This.
Yeah, is that what that says?
Yeah. What do you call this?
It's
watering
a
can.
watering can. Yeah.
Yeah. Where did I put the watering can? It's the title of the album.
See, everybody, weird. It's weird, but super unique.
It's the second of their reissue albums, and it's one of the best. I love actually all the reissue ones. The 3 last ones before the new one, the brutal one, the experimental one, and the best one.
I have that one.
I mean,
too.
if you like old Master's Hammer and think that there is one of those bands who released shit when they reunited, no, this is the exception. I think all the reissue albums by that band or reunion albums by that band are bloody great.
If you are new to the band and you want to, I'm just gonna check out the newest one. You know what?
No,
sample it before you do, because it is mostly electronic.
Start with the original first 2 ones.
Yeah, 100%. All right, Dan, you're up.
Yeah, I got to go back to Eastern Europe. Have to, of course. And probably my all-time favorite Russian band, Oblachny Cry, from Karelia. The nose of Finland. From Arkhangelsk in Karelia in northern Russia. This band was formed in 79, I think. Started releasing these real tape albums, which basically all of them have been released on re-released on CDs. In the very early 80s, they were sort of avant-garde space rock meets heavy rock. I have a CD of recording from 81 or 82 where the first song sounds like Bloody Merciful Fate, and the rest of the album is Hawkwind meets Can or whatever, krautrock. But eventually in the mid-80s, they started playing more Metalloid music, and they released 1 LP on Soviet Melodia label in, I think it's 91 actually. But it had a long legacy of albums and mini albums before this. And yeah, this is power metal. Metal, speed, power, heavy metal, but so exceptionally Russian. As in, there are a lot of folk influences in it, without ever really getting folk metal. Maybe there's 1 or 2 songs which could be blatant. You could say are blatant folk metal, but it sounds almost like the joke archetype of an Eastern European metal band. If you would sort of ask someone who has never heard East European heavy power speed metal, and sort of like in their mind make up what I wonder what that would sound like. It would probably sound like this, because this is so wonderfully weird and still metal. And one of the greatest things about this band is that I saw there is an official documentary or sort of live video with them, and I was watching this together with a Russian friend a couple of years ago, and they were interviewing Oblachny Cry and asking them how they would define their music, and they said, "No, we don't play heavy metal, speed metal, thrash metal. We play Russian metal." And that says a lot. They were not trying to copycat their Western idols. As much as I worship bands like Aria, they are sort of original, but sort of like the Russian version of Iron Maiden. I mean, I love Corroseum and Aaron, but they also have some similarities with Western thrash metal bands. Oblachny Cry does not sound like any Western band at all, without being super weird. I mean, at least this album is it is metal, but it's of a very exotic and very Russian sounding way. And the cool thing is that the couple of 3 or 4 earlier real tape albums, which are only available on CD before this, are even weirder, but still metal. My favorite Russian band, and such a cool album. I don't know if any of you guys have heard. Maybe Aaron are familiar with Oblachny Cry, Cloudy Land.
Yeah, I have a copy of that thing. I should pull it out too, actually.
Yeah.
It's the other one I liked, but don't think I completely like. I'm not all there with it yet,
Yeah.
Oops. All right, Aaron.
All right. Well, shit. Let's show this one. This is an easy one. So I was going for things that are unique, right? So fucking Warrior on the Edge of Time by Hawkwind. I hope we all have this. This is a fucking great record.
I don't know any Hawkwind, unfortunately.
Like when it comes to like
Motorhead.
I mean, it's like what space rock is. You know what I mean? So anyway, though, this cover folds out into a shield.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, check that shit out.
Wow, that's pretty sweet. Oh, wow.
Yeah, this is probably my favorite album by this band, but yeah, I mean, I like it enough that I went out of my way to get this version of the record.
Fraser's asking if there's Lemmy. Is Lemmy on that one?
I don't think so. I think he already left by this one.
All right.
I think it was like right after he left. Like, if I'm not mistaken, what was the 5th one? Hall of the Mountain Grill, I think. This is the next one after that. And if I'm not mistaken, he just left on.
What a great title.
All right. Alan. You're muted, sir.
Yeah, I was getting a CD out of a very noisy wrapper, so I had muted there. Thank you. Folks mentioned this one in the chat much earlier, and it's kind of obvious, but it should be mentioned in the topic. Some bands have started, sounding more like this in more recent years, but this album really set the bar for where death metal was going to go in the 21st century. They were way ahead of their time doing it in the late 90s. It is Gorguts with Obscura. And if this looks like I'm holding it weird, I have a very weird version of this, so just bear with me. But yeah, the band had done 2 albums before, of course, established as a very good North American sounding death metal band. Nothing wrong with the first 2 albums. I really like Erosion of Sanity. I think it's a bit underrated, if anything. But yeah, then they disappear for a few years and they come back and they release this just monster of an album. Just like scary, huge, what the fuck are they doing? What is this sound kind of monster thing? It is a very dense and very harrowing listen. They're showing off a lot of crazy chops. they're incorporating some weird stuff along the way too, and I think some of that's easy to miss because this is an album that can overwhelm you listening to it. Doesn't help that it's a long album. It's right around an hour long, so it's a bit of a journey to play this all the way through. But and just with like the last track, it's an instrumental, and I've heard like Hunter again from Agalak and Radical Research discussing just that one track in detail. There's like within like 3 minutes of this instrumental track, he can pick out and identify. There are sections that are from like 90s alternative rock, and then there are sections that are like proto sludge, and then there's our sections that are from these different kind of niche death metal camps, and then there's sections that are lifted from like obscure 80s electronic genres, and it's all packed in here amongst this just cacophony of death metal. So yeah, a strange sounding album, very unique for its time. Again, more bands have tried going in this direction as the years have gone by. So you might think of other things that are more recent that have started to get into the same ballpark as Obscura. But this was still the one that set the bar. At the time this came out, it was really one of those, what the fuck is this kind of moments in death metal. Tough listen. It's not for everybody. This is another one I gravitated to really quickly. I'm not going to pretend I understand the whole album even after all these years, but it was one that clicked with me pretty quickly. I'm like, this is odd, but it really spoke to me in some level, and definitely needed to be mentioned with the obscure albums for tonight. So that is my pick for this round. See, oh, and Ilka said that Itooth, that's one that I've been meaning to dig into. I've seen that popping up on some folks' lists of like must-hear stuff lately, but I'm not familiar with them, so that's a great call.
All right. There's another band I haven't heard talked about in the metal community, and I think it's mainly because they are kind of deemed as an industrial band, which, nah, it's not. It really... There's a clangy bass going on. There's some droning type of marching in the tempos. But Fetish 69, this is their debut Antibody. Trying to pin this band down. There's a definite heavy-handed hit of noise rock going on. But if you take Prong, Helmet, mix it with a little Godflesh, I guess, not necessarily. I think this is a real drummer. I could be wrong, but I previewed it again. I used to like this album quite a bit, and I previewed it again today, and I think it's a real drummer. It's a band. They're playing with the kind of a cold, calculated lurch of industrial. I saw this band on one of the Death is Just the Beginning video comps for the song Pig Blood. Thought it ruled. I have a 7-inch, a Pig Blood 7-inch, and bought this album. They re-recorded it for this record here, but yeah, I always kind of, if the Insane got heavier, I guess you could say, I like the kind of a snarled, punky type of noise rock vocal over this heavy plotting music. It's cool. It's drony. I don't listen to this often. In fact, it's been many, many, many years, but I'm surprised they put out like 3 or 4 records. This is the only one I've ever heard. Look, judging by the cover artwork, it seems like they might have leaned a little bit further away from the metal, but I don't know. Anyway, Fetish 69, Antibody. Check it out. They're definitely weird and not talked about very often.
Yep. All right, we are going to have to enter our final round since we are, already at the witching hour. So pick your best ones or run through a few, however we want to do it, but we have to make last call.
Oh my God. Last call, really?
I know. We've already blown through 3 hours of stuff.
Time flies when you're having fun.
I think I do run through because there's still a couple of ones. I was sort of expecting maybe Alan or Aaron to pick this one first. Coven, Worship New Gods. They were from like Chicago, right? No.
Sounds right.
Yeah.
I don't remember because it's honestly, it's an album I don't like, but it's a good pick for this.
Yeah, I haven't loved that one either. Like I've been working on that one. That's one of the ones that I pull out like once every few months to a year to give it another listen.
I used to be in contact with one of the guys there, and one of the very few original interviews I made for the Corroseum was with this band. This is
Scott Scissor from Detroit. Thanks.
Yeah,
Scott.
Detroit. I keep mixing up those two cities. Sorry.
Yeah. Detroit is the Chicago of Michigan.
Oh, okay. Right. Coven, worship new gods, angel Vikings and falling angels on the back and everything. This is sort of goth. I think this sort of officially goth inspired metal with doomy vibes. This does not sound the least bit US metal at all. I think, probably one of the most unique late 80s American metal albums. And I would say no, they don't even sound like an Italian dark sound band or whatever. This is almost borderline metal, but they were always considered a metal band, but in some sense it's drony, doomy, gothic, hard rock metal. And sort of epic. I mean, they had song titles like Riddle of Steel, Wicked Day, Kiss Me with Blood. Really, really weird band, really wonderful one. Why haven't we talked about Defy yet? Aaron, I'm disappointed.
Because I
am disappointed.
I was in the email, so I was like, oh, someone already got that one for sure.
Yeah. Complete outsider band. The first album from 85, 86. This is not metal or hard rock. It's more outsider, weird rock. Funny, cool, outsider, weird rock album. On his, because this is a one-man band, his second album, Animals, it turned into a really cool, fussed out, doom, outsider, fuzz hard rock album. Really full of really cool songs. Evil lures, heavy vibrations. Really sort of like a more outsider and more psychedelic early Pentagram maybe. But yeah, totally unique album. The one before, too weird. The two CDs that actually came after this one, a bit too clean, but Dwarf Animals, classic in the outsider doom hard rock genre.
Yep, good description.
Yeah, and well, just one more on the same team. The Mesmerist, the innocent, the forsaken, the guilty. Another US pick. This is a private mini album from the mid-late 80s. Another doomy one. Very high vocals, very sort of psychedelic, but still sort of doom-y. Sort of comparable to, I think, Paul Shane. This has sort of more like a Italian dark sound vibe to it, but no. Another one that really doesn't sound like any other band at all. Very high vocals and very psychedelic, but still not. It's not a non-metal album, but it's very tangent. So, but if you like weird, doomy outsider stuff and doom metal, check out The Mesmerist. There's a reissue, of course, with a bonus demo, and there are rumors that actually Bill Ward is playing on this one. He's actually credited as the drummer on this album because he has visited the studio. Do you guys know if this is true? You heard about the rumor, right?
I've always heard it, but you always got to wonder, like, really?
That's the sort of thing I don't look into too deeply, though, because not knowing, like if I don't know something like that and I find out, it doesn't make it any better. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I don't care about that. I mean, I love the music, but it's a funny side note if it's true.
He's got a very distinct way of playing drums, though. I mean, you think you'd be able to tell those heavy, busy rolls. That you think that
I would
Well,
like
hand
to hear the
claps are
final
kinda
judgment from some really, truly die-hard Black Sabbath fans and collectors.
it's probably on
and see if they
Facebook.
can
Send him
spot
a
it.
message. Get to the bottom of it. Send him a message on Facebook. Hey, Bill Ward, did you play on this album?
It might actually have been confirmed. I think it's leaning towards it being true. Yeah.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure it's confirmed. Yeah.
Mm.
Someone, that one, I don't remember who it was, but someone described that record to me as being a cross between Merciful Fate and Death SS, and that's about as close as I've gotten.
Yeah, I get what they're saying, but it's more doomy.
It's heavier on
doomer.
the Death SS.
Yeah,
than
there's no
Fate 2.
traditional shuggy metal riffs. It's more doom.
Yeah.
Yep. That is a little in danger of overselling it though too. I mean, while it's cool, it's like I'm saying, it's like you start comparing it to like Merciful Fate and anything, you're just like,
No, it's not. It's not.
Except I think that
no
record is-
real traditional heavy metal in it.
what was the name of that album again? Jeremy is asking.
The
Three
band
words
is
in
called
the wrong
The
order.
Mesmerist. The album is called The Innocent, The Forsaken, The Guilty.
and it's been reissued, so yeah, it's not a hard one to pick up.
Like those words are out of order.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's like saying "laugh, love, live." It's not right.
I can never remember that album title because of that. I love that record though. All right, I'm going to sneak in too. First, more Russia.
Yeah.
All right, EVM or EVM or something like that. However you say that shit in Russian. So this fucking thing, it's okay. It's a metal record. It's definitely not like, you know, the super like heavy. I mean, there's a disproportionate amount of death metal coming out of Russia. This is like the opposite of this. This is really like a band that wanted to be a metal band, packaged their shit like a 70s hard rock record, because there are a couple really hard rockers on here and there are a couple that are just like stompers, like on side 2. And then the first song was just like a sort of a swagger, like almost like it wants to be glam, but not quite there. And but then there's also like this weird kind of ballad, and there's an instrumental, and sort of like, it's a little bit all over the place, but it's sort of like on those 70s records when a band was new, they would feel like they had to sort of showcase everything they were able to do. You know what I mean? So you'd have a couple rockers, you'd put on a ballad, you'd like play a little jazz in here, and you close out with another rocker, you know? And this kind of does that in a way that's really atypical for metal, I think. So that kind of adds to the appeal. I just put my finger on that the last day or two too. So I might decide that was bullshit in a couple days, but today I think it's true.
That cover is just begging to be colored in.
This record's cheap too.
So you could color in your own cover. Make it a 1 of 1. Yeah, perfect.
There's even like a token speed thrash song on it.
Yeah.
I think there's like one song is sort of speed thrash. Haven't played it in ages. Gonna pick it out. Definitely.
Yeah, I think this one's underrated, man. I really like to hype this one.
Yeah.
So that one, and then the other one, I'm going to sneak in here real quick, just because I thought Dan was going to show this one. I almost didn't even pull it. But,
I figured one of y'all would.
I love it.
it's like a game of chicken. I chicken. I was the chicken on Ripper.
Cool cover. I like it.
Yeah, this is just a batshit fucking record. I'm pretty sure they're Italian, right?
No. They're a
Texan.
US band, man. That's a US band.
Oh yeah.
They look like they want to be Italian, though, for sure.
They sound like they were going to be Italian, man. This band should have been Italian. That's why I think my headcanon got fucked up on them.
No, they were reissued on the Black Widow records.
Yeah.
Houston is the Rome of Italy.
No, this record's just crazy too. Is like there are two singers. There's like a guy, and then there's this woman who just like screams. And the first couple of times after I listened to it, I thought it was just annoying. But then like I was like, holy shit, this is fucking brilliant. So I've really come around on the Ripper here. And the reissue from a Black Widow is probably the easiest thing to find. But, you know, I had to go for all my Ironworks and Middle Storm and Azra shit.
I think I'm on the thank list of the reissue because that's one of the first bands I got in contact with through old internet. Rob Graves, who sadly passed away a couple of years ago.
Oh. Well, he left a great legacy, man. What a great.
I sometimes I can't make up my mind if speaking of old what's the name of the label?
Ironworks.
Ironworks. If it's a Ripper or the first Jag Panzer, I know extremely hot take, but I almost love them equally.
All right, are you done, Aaron? Are you good?
Yeah, I'm good. I have some more non-metal shit, but we didn't get that far. I wasn't like low on shit. So actually, something real quick. Fuck it. If you can give me 30 more seconds here.
Of course,
absolutely.
These are the non-metal ones because now I feel like I've teased them, so I don't want to And the Wheels of Steel record's sitting there, but I just made a whole fucking video about that thing. So yeah, the other ones. This one, Black Widow Sacrifice. You haven't heard this, you need to. This is maybe the most genuinely satanic record that I have, though, because this like makes Satan sound like happy and fun, not like Slayer scares you at the Satan. These guys are like, come hang out with us. We're cool.
Yep.
And not even like we have drugs and shit. Just like, well, we're going to do this thing, and there's going to be this ritual and power, but it's all like just the delivery is so. I mean, it's basically prog rock is what it is, but it's fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
Then this one is unique. I mean, that other one's even unique for Black Widow, by the way. But this one's unique because, first of all, how many organ and drum duos are there? That's a small set. And then how many are great? And that's a smaller set. And then it's like, how many had Billy Joel in them? And that's a tiny set. And that's the set that contained Attila.
Some nice quarters of beef hanging around there. Yeah.
Totally, man. And that fucking those outfits, like this is exactly what this record should look like. That's a 10 out of 10 cover as far as I'm concerned. And fucking the master stroke is the fucking mustache. But this record is really good. Like it took a couple times to get on it. For this record, I've never heard anyone make an organ sound as much like a guitar as Billy Joel does on this thing. Like the thing fucking screams. I mean, you have to kind of, if you've never heard how hard an organ can rock, you really need to hear this record, just like so you have that knowledge, even if you don't like the record, because it's really good. And then
what they say, Billy Joel is the guitarist of organ.
No,
did I do it right, Alan? Did I do it right?
Billy Joel,
close enough.
Billy Joel is the Finland of 70s singer-songwriters.
Damn it, I was so close to getting it right. Damn it.
All right. Then I was going to just shout out real quick Bruce Hawk and the Electric Lucifer.
Oh, Bruce Hawk rips, man. Yeah.
This record, I mean, I bought this for the cover when I checked it out. And
I love his Robot album as well.
Yeah. Like I want to hear the other ones. I'm kind of afraid to because I love
this children albums.
I don't want to spoil it. Yeah, I had one of the children's albums once, and I was like, man, this is still a children's record. Yeah. Mr. Rogers met Bruce Hawk once though on the show.
What?
There's Mr. Rogers met Bruce Hawk.
Wow.
So I don't know if you'll have gotten it. I don't think he's made it to Sweden, but
I know who Mr. Rogers is.
Mr. Rogers is friends with everyone. So. He's friends with everybody. Yeah, he was.
Mr. Rogers is like an icon, though. So.
I know. Yeah.
Anyway, this is really kind of poppy, but it's like all done on this these really primitive electronics, and it's awesome. Like this record is what people say those Perry and Kingsley records are. It's fantastic.
Old electronica, like white noise and. What's the name of the other other electric band with the silver apples and stuff like that.
I'm not crazy about silver apples, man.
I saw them live before he died.
Wow. I've tried with them. There are a couple German bands that I like, but none of them are as good as the mighty Attila.
All right, Alan, there you go.
All right, we'll go through a few here to wrap up with. I was thinking about bringing up Arcturus, La Masquerade. That one, I always get the title butchered. I've been revisiting the Arcturus catalog a little bit lately too. Haven't played that stuff for years, but I haven't given it enough spins. I didn't want to say too much about it. My short take right now is that Masquerade feels a little bit. I mean, it's exactly 10 years after Into the Pandemonium. came in at 97. And I kind of feel like this is the avant-garde metal record where the band did have the resources to make it work, whereas Frost was scrapping together whatever they could to try to make it work. So a discussion for another time. Another one, I haven't played this in forever, definitely should be mentioned tonight though. Cynic's Focus. Nothing much sounds like Cynic. It's hard to explain sometimes what Cynic sounds like. Very, very unique album, and it's kind of become one of those touchstones for progressive metal overall. One or two more quick ones here. A pet band that I've latched onto in recent years has been Gigan. Gigan is brutal, technical, sci-fi, horror, psychedelic, heavily effects-laden death metal. I think I got them all. It takes a lot of words to try to describe Gigan. Crazy shit, effects all over it. Brutal, very brutal, but yeah, with a real strong technical streak at the same time. And all the lyrics and concepts are just really out there, 15th dimensional sci-fi stuff. Very, very fun. Very, very dense listening. And we'll close on kind of an older cult one. Seems fitting with Aaron and Dan as our guests for the night. Wasn't officially released as an album. It was only a demo. But damn it, it's worth mentioning. Max Planck's Kill the Pain.
Yeah.
Got reissued later on. This one has something in common with the Lester Maddox album that Dan mentioned earlier, where just like every song is doing something so different from all the other songs. You have, the kind of, quiet, epic, majestic track with Northwind. You have, some that are just, ball breakers. You have, Roar has this almost Celtic, feel to it. You've got, what else is on here? Enter Into the Rock has this like trancey, again, kind of, it's almost like the Black Widow track where you're like, kind of, repeating and drawing people into the ritual. Then you have Starscream, where the vocalist, honest to God, it's a song about the Transformer, the toy robot Starscream, and the dude does his best to sound exactly like the cartoon voice of Starscream, and
it's great.
It is wonderful. The world is a better place because this song that nobody's heard,
and the least representative track on the album. It's the most standout one.
Yeah. So Max Planck, Kill the Pain. They never released a full album in their time. They were on a single here and a compilation there, stuff, just
all those tracks taken from that one.
Yeah. But Kill the Pain, Max Planck got nice reissue with Stormspell, and it's a strange, weird listen because every song is its own little universe, and it's a cool set of universes to travel through. So I'll stop with that one.
I think we had like a discussion many years ago on the Corroseum about which were everyone's favorite demo that was shared. That thread is a couple of years old, but I think we eventually, the one who got the most votes were the Max Planck full-length demo. And it remains to this day one of the most magical ones. It's short version, it's Pagan Altar meets Manila Road, but in a weird outsider magic way. Maybe the single greatest demo only vinyl reissue ever. 11 out of 10. Amazing.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, so a lot of those demos are fun to check out, but they don't necessarily always become great. This is legendary stuff.
Yeah,
agreed.
This is my top.
All right, Marty, bring 100%. Us on home, sir. What you got for your last salvo here?
Well, folks were mentioning it in the chat, and I happened to have pulled it.
There you go.
This harmonic orchestra is not to be unidimensionally conscious. This album, I love it. It's got such a warm pulse to it. Really prominent bass work, distorted bass work, and you got the Return of the Living beat where there's like this bring the beat back, do type thing in the middle of it, which is completely the only kind of dumb thing on the record. But there's songs like Groove. I think it was they did a video for it. It's just such a warm flow to the song. It's really heavy, They didn't really sound like anybody else. So definitely check out Disharmonic Orchestra, and we might as well stay in Austria. They're Kinfolk, Pungent Stench.
Mm-hmm.
This band, this was my first
That's the
dalliance
one
with this
folks know.
Great
band.
album.
Absolutely, chainsaw guitar. They were very unique, a little bit messy, really sloppy around the edges. But as they went, they started to get rather perverse, especially on this one here. Dirty Rhymes and Psychotronic Beats. There's a song on here, Why Can't the Bodies Fly? It's just it's so freaking weird. It's
Cover
just,
of the German band Warning.
see, I did not know that. And as this band got more perverse, the thing that made it so creepy was the fact that it felt very legitimate. it felt like they were singing like from the heart in this filth quest they were on. And then
Are you sure it's the heart they were singing from?
yeah, probably not. And then we get to this. This is my jumping off point for the band. Club Mondo Bizarre for members only. Again, it's a solid record. They got a lot more rocking on this album. Yeah, I mean, it's perverse death metal. It goes into rock territories as they went on. And I guess I will end in Norway with the band Beyond Dawn. This is the album I wanted to show. I had a promo of it. I listened to this thing so much. I need to replace it because this died in a flood thing. But this is Revelry by Beyond Dawn. This is when they started off, they were kind of like a really strange death doom kind of thing with odd vocals, some death vocals, and then they'd go to this weird clean singing. But on this album here, there's still a metal down picking type of riff writing, but you've got real horns added into the mix, and there's like this weird alternative music mix intersecting with the pseudo metal music here. It's just a very dreary and miserable sounding record. I was going through a divorce, and this record, oddly enough, was very much a mainstay in my playlist for a while. This and Vis Lisette Taros by Burzum, oddly enough, those were my two going through some shit albums. I don't know, weird picks, I guess, but yeah, I'll jump off with that there. But this is a very artistic, weird, strange band. These I don't really remember. I know they started to drift even further away from metal here. This is Electric Sulking Machine, and in Reverie, this was a follow-up to the Revelry. I think there's just a few odds and ends tracks that didn't make the original album, but interesting Norwegian band. I wouldn't call it sweater metal. It seems to be a little bit more highbrow and interesting to me anyway. So there's others, but we'll leave that for another time. We could this is another one of those topics we could probably have part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. So
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
I had a funny thought before beginning of the stream, but wouldn't it be so funny and weird if no one mentioned Voivod? Ha ha ha! No one mentioned Voivod.
Didn't mention
Voivod. Voivod album.
I just did I interviewed Jeff Wagner, who wrote the book, the new Voivod book here. I don't know, last month. So
okay,
we've covered Voivod plenty and lots on the channel. So
yeah. My struggles with Voivod have been well documented, but they would deserve mention for sure. Yeah. That's a good
Now we have mentioned Voivod. It's sort of like closing the circle with starting with Celtic Frost, ending with Voivod. So Voivod.
There we go.
Indeed. Well, Aaron, Dan, thank y'all so much for taking time tonight to hang out.
You guys are awesome as always.
Cover all this kind of stuff. Y'all always bring cool stuff that folks love seeing what you bring, because no one else is going to show that kind of stuff on any channel. It's very, very unique stuff for a unique topic tonight.
Yeah. I'm not leaving this one with a big shopping list. That's because it's a pulling shit out list instead, but I'm really glad about that. And that's because of previous discussions. So
yeah, the only thing I have wrote on my list is Pope John Paul II, Electric Boogaloo, Return to the Streets album.
Dude, I'm telling you, that's a good record, man. It's fucking batshit. But
we didn't even get to the Metal Enterprises stuff.
Yeah. Awesome. Do you guys have anything you want to plug before we jump? What was that?
What?
Dan?
What?
Do you guys have anything you want to plug before we jump?
No, just that we didn't get to the worst of the worst crappy stuff like this and
Is that a real Wheels of Steel?
Yeah, and metal enterprise stuff. But it's almost like a separate theme where we talk about metal that's so bad,
Strange and terrible.
So bad, it's funny. So we can do it as a separate theme.
Yep, that'll be good. That'll be a fun topic for another night for sure.
Cool.
Awesome. I do want to say some show notes before we jump. Tomorrow at noon, 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, there will be an interview with John from Anvil Bitch. Stu Verica did an interview with John. We talked about the new album. They talk about the history of Anvil Bitch, essentially. So check that out. Turned out really, really nice. And I think Monday there will be a Runes of Beverast review up from the Brain Smasher. I have it. Nice. I just need to edit it this weekend. And Wednesday, the album club is on, I think, the August Engine by Hammers of Misfortune. I think it's called the August Engine.
Yep, that's it. Mm-hmm.
And next week, is next week the week?
Nope, next week is open right now. We have not got anything.
If you were going to say Paradise Lost, oh my God.
Nope, you get 2 weeks before. Yeah,
I've started, but petered out pretty quick on my homework. I need to get back on the stick.
You got a solid 2 weeks to get through the rest of the 17 album Paradise Lost catalog. So no, don't have anything lined up for next Friday. But if I'm not encased in ice, I will be here, and if I am encased in ice, Marty will handle things until I thaw out.
Cathedral of ice.
So everybody, please go check out Let's Talk Metal. Go check out the Metal Theologian on the YouTubes. Both those guys on the YouTubes. Go check out the Corroseum, an exhaustive, extensive, deep dive into all things obscure and awesome in heavy metal. Definitely go check that out. And hey, we're Heavy Metallurgy. We'll be back next week, Saturday. Anvil Bitch. Check it out. Do us a favor and watch the interview. It's a short one. But that's it, everybody. Thanks so much for hanging out with us on Friday. Cheers. We will see you next time.
Metallurgy is like the Stranger Things of YouTube.
We're hard.